Hey, welcome to About That Life podcast. We're here, got a good show for you. Got two really good guests, so stay tuned for that. Obviously, if you've been here and you've been watching and you've been subscribing, you know what this show's about. We're going to talk basketball. My host, Mark, over here, he's going to give you some insight as well. We talk about AAU, life in general, culture of basketball. Please check us out. Hit that like and subscribe button. Do the HBO special, help a brother out. Appreciate you on that one. And we should have a good show for you.
Phoenix Fitness 24/7 basketball facility in Rockland, California. It's Bout That Life podcast with your host, Coach C. Collins and Coach MJ. It's time. 3, 2, 1, let's
go. Hey, welcome to About That Life podcast. I'm Coach C. Collins.
Coach MJ, GGT.
Okay. And we are here to talk a little bit of basketball and everything in between. If you've been rocking with us from the beginning, we really appreciate that. If you've been sticking with us for the long run, really appreciate that. Obviously, again, do the HBO special, help a brother out. We really appreciate it. Help us out in the YouTube algorithm. Help us out on the audio algorithm. Got a great show for you. Got a WNBA legend. Also have a director and AAU director and coach and a good friend of mine. So hopefully you guys enjoy it and enjoy their perspective. Mark, anything you want to add to that before we move on?
I'm excited. I'm excited for this one.
Okay, perfect. So, real quick, shout out to my sponsor. Shout out to Dr. just best shooting machine on the market. If you're looking for one, tell them About That Life sent you. They'll hook you up with a discount. They have the Rebel. They have the All-Star. They have different models. The home version is really obviously popular for those who want to get their shooting machines at home. Because the reality is, if you're a basketball player, you got to get shots up, okay? And then, of course, if you're looking for rec-level basketball, AAU basketball, good competitive tournaments, go to Hardwood Palace, right next door to us. They're a good sponsor of mine as well, and they actually do a really good job. So whatever level you have, if you want to introduce your son or daughter to competitive basketball, go ahead and check them out. They're right here in Rockland, California. Really good organization. The guy that runs it, his name's Steve or Grant. Tell them About That Life sent you. They'll hook you up as well. So without all that out the way, let me get to my guests. I have two guests here. One I've known a long time. She knew me when I had less gray hair, so that always helps. And the Frank, my AAU colleague and director. We have shared some players, shared some memories, had some good conversation, and they've decided to come on my show and grace us with their presence. So without further ado, let me introduce both of them, right? I'm going to give y'all each your own intro, right? I got Frank from One Vision. Appreciate you, Frank.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir.
And then I also have WNBA legend and overall just a good person. Right. Ruthie Bolton. I almost used your government name because I saw your government name. I was this close to using it. I'll let you use that.
Just call her champion.
Yeah, exactly. So let's get right to it. I'm going to introduce both of them. You guys, again, correct me if I'm wrong on anything, right? Obviously, Feel free to jump in. I just always know some people don't necessarily like talking about themselves, so I just jump in and do it right now. So for Ruthie, for those who are listening or watching, maybe it's your first time checking her out. I know everyone in the Sacramento area pretty much knows who you are at this point. She's a two-time gold medal basketball Olympian. I'm trying to use the correct vernacular here.
You got it.
and then you went to college at Auburn.
I played
right?
Auburn University.
All 4 years, correct?
All 4 years.
Yeah, and then also she has basically been an ambassador for basketball. Again, we were talking before the show started for like the last 15, 20 years. Some of the places you've been, and this is just what I found on the internet, but you've been, let's see, you've been to Australia, you've been to China, you've been to New Guinea, you've been
Papua New Guinea.
Papua New Guinea, you've been to Saudi Arabia,
Yes.
Armenia,
Yes.
Moldova, right?
But yes.
Like,
Ukraine.
yeah, I know I'm sure I'm missing some. You've been to Germany too, correct?
Many times.
See, like she's traveled.
Yeah.
So she is definitely an ambassador of the game, and please feel free to look her up. Obviously, I'm going to have links to both you guys in the description. I'm going to have links to your podcast, or I'll mention your podcast and get in that when you start that up. And then also any social media accounts or anything, I'm going to make sure that's linked into the description. So, Frank, for you, obviously, I'm going to let you speak on your basketball background, but as far as my relationship with you, you started One Vision AAU program, like 3-4 years ago?
Pretty much right around COVID time.
Okay, yeah. And then you've been obviously active in that for a while. You're from the Bay Area, like myself, San Jose, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then you've been, like I said, you've been pretty active in the AAU organization. What's your basketball background, if you feel like talking about that?
Sure. Interesting in the sense, I went to James Lick High School. Probably the most biggest athlete come out of there is Jim Plunkett, quarterback for the Oakland Raiders.
Nice.
Definitely was in our Hall of Fame, and I didn't know about him too much when I was at school, but he was up in our Hall of Fame. So high school was very interesting. I don't have a lot to say about it other than I think I scored 6 points and probably played in about 7 games total. Something crazy in my mind got in there early and said, I remember senior year, it was our exit interview. Coach Ibarra pulled me in the office and going through the kids. And he probably thought this is going to be quick. I mean, we can get this kid out of here, a 3-year bench warmer. We're just going to go through the formalities of everything. And he said, Frank, what are you going to do after high school? And I just kind of sat there for a minute and pretty quiet in high school, not really having a voice at that point in my life. I just sat up in the chair and I looked at him and I said, Coach Ibarra, I'm going to go to college. I'm going to play basketball in college.
Nice.
And he looked at me, I kid you not, smiled and then laughed and stood up. Mind you, this is 1992, so
right.
coach's demeanor with players were a lot different.
A little different.
Yeah, so he stood up and patted me on the top of my head, and he said, there's a lot better things to do in life than play basketball, Frank. And I never forgot that because it was at that particular moment I took that in as I was leaving the office, and I said, you're the last person that's going to tell me what I can't do in my life or make me feel the way he did. And lo and behold, I was running around, went to the Air Force, a couple crazy girls got in the way, a little bit of life right after high school.
Funny how that works. Right?
Yes, but I was 21 years old. Midnight basketball became a popular thing in my area. Actually, at James Lick, it was 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., which is, you have to be a diehard hooper. You hooping at 2 a.m. On a Friday night with about 3 fans in the stands.
That sounds like fun. That sounds like fun to me.
Yeah, I mean, you're a true hooper then. Because I don't even think, I couldn't even get my family to come watch me at 2 a.m. And gentleman by the name of Mike Allen played at San Jose Christian, is now, played overseas, All-American at this school. San Jose Christian is now Jessup University.
Okay.
So before it was Jessup, it started in San Jose. The school is so small. I lived there my whole life until I went to this open gym. I just didn't know it existed there. So I'm in the Midnight League, and after practice, Mike goes, hey, man, we have an open gym on Thursday. Do you want to come? And I'm like, what, college guys? He said, yeah, the guys on the team, they should come out, man. And I was like, I'm just in my head. I'm like, man, I don't know, man. That's a whole nother, I've seen my friends went to college, but I was just like, I don't know. So I go over there, it's an open gym, and God must have been on my side that day because I couldn't miss. And so we go through this 2 hours, and I remember just like any other good day in open gym, I was just like, I felt good, man. That just the purity of basketball.
Yeah.
There was hardly no people in there.
No pressure.
And no, it was just people just hooping with their blood and sweat and heart. And when it was done, took our shoes off, and I had learned by now I didn't have my first pair of Nikes till 17, so I definitely never wore my basketball shoes outside. I put my regular like Payless shoe source, like just walking shoes that I had. I put those on. And my friend said, "Hey, the guy in the corner over there wants to talk to you." And I'm like, I see a little white dude with glasses, and he looked like a scientist. I was just like, I said, "Who is that?" He said, "Go over there, Frank. Please, just walk over there."
Okay.
And so I walk over there, and he goes, "Hey, I'm just curious, man. What do you play at?" And I said,
Around.
Cherry Park is somewhere that's famous in San Jose, like for outdoor hoopers. Like, and I knew if you could get on the court at Cherry Park, that means you were somebody in that area. People would travel out of the area to play there, so I was able to get on. And so basically, he just told me, he said, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna tell you something crazy. Is we had a kid tear his ACL, and what I saw tonight, if you're interested, we might want to be interested in have you come play here."
Wow.
And I'm like, I literally thought this was a joke, or like my friends put this guy, because this guy, I didn't see him the whole time I was playing. And he goes, are you serious? He's like, 10 o'clock tomorrow, come to my office. It's right here. And he said it's closed right now, but come at 10, just go to the administration. They'll show you where I'm. Coach Skinner out of Michigan. His favorite coach was Bobby Knight. That should let you know what kind of coach he was.
Yes.
And long story short, I ended up going to San Jose Christian after scoring 6 points in high school and playing in about 7 games in high school. And when I signed my name to accept going there, my hand was shaking. Wow. And I didn't. My mom, unfortunately, at the time had already been heavy in alcohol, and my dad wasn't around. I took my mentor from Midnight League, Jeffrey Hurd. He's no longer with us today. So I remember looking at him. He said, "Is this real, Jeff? Like, I'm not dreaming?" He said, "It's real, Frank."
That's dope.
And I played there for a year. New coach came in and transferred to Simpson, which is in Reading. And unfortunately, my mom got ill, so I had to stop after that year. And then after that was done, I thought I was done. Ended up going to Canada, because my coach that sophomore year at Simpson had got fired. He went to Canada, I guess, sent film out to coaches out there. This is how long ago. I'm going to date myself. I was in Canada 3 hours outside of New York when the towers were hit. Wow. Now, unfortunately, that was a scary time that the world wasn't ready for. I was at a gas station a few days after that, and I hadn't shaved because I was poor, poor college student. And the gas attendant says, "Man, you kind of look like those guys on TV." And when he said that was a whole that was a whole different level. So I just said, I caught my grandmother, old school Latin lady. She was like, basically in other terms, get home. It was basically get you back home. And so it kind of ended there. But suffice to say, it was kind of like a Disney story. I was able to start in college. Our sophomore year at Simpson, we went all the way to the national title game in the Christian college. Simpson, I don't think it's ever gone that far since then. I started the last 12 games there. Nice. And here I am on the podcast.
Very cool story, brother. Very cool story. And then Ruthie, obviously, I'd kind of be real. You have a lot of basketball resume, so I wasn't going to go through all that. I was going to tell people, just look her up, man. She's got a lot. But
all I will say about high school is that we went to state, and our basketball team, we were all related except for 2.
Okay.
On our state championship team.
Really?
Yep. So we would go to so we were all related, because my mom's sister had 18, we had 20, so we were.
Wow.
Yeah, we were a B school.
Right?
We were so small. My graduating class was 25, and real small school.
And you won state twice?
Yeah, 6A schools didn't want to play us.
Wow.
So that's the highlight to remember about my high school. Yeah.
Where originally are you from?
McLean.
Okay.
McLean,
nice.
Mississippi.
Nice. Well, yeah. Go look her resume up, y'all. It's really good. It's really good. It would take a whole hour just to dissect that one. But no, like I said, I'm glad to have both you guys here. And
thank you.
Obviously, the premise of the show, we want to, me and Mark talked about this, like I've told you guys before the show, is really just to get information out there for parents, kids. I'm a big believer that, I'm a big believer in tearing down walls, just getting people to sit and talk. You know what I mean? Even if you disagree with something.
That's right.
Because like in this AAU basketball culture, like we'll get into more in the show, in Sacramento especially, I think it's so divided. I just try to be a beacon of something different, of just like, hey, okay, if you don't like what I do, just sit down and talk to me about it. And then we can both come away, better. You know what I mean? So, and of course, I love people's stories. Like his journey here in this, like I love hearing those type of things. You know what I mean? That's where like me and him became really good friends because we love that, the stories. You know what I mean? And the underdogs and just all that type of stuff. Because I don't know, it's a reflection of life. Go ahead.
I did want to share one thing before I go further, before we get too deep into this. I just want to thank Jesus Christ because I'm a man of faith, and knowing my whole life, and like you said, we won't talk about every story in my life because we'll be here till about 3 weeks. But I just want to let you know, like, Jesus has continually put good people in my life. Chris, I consider you one of those people.
Thank you.
Ruthie, you know how I feel about you already. I'm just so grateful to be in this position because I know nobody expected this. My family, teachers, people in my life. So to be sitting here in a presence of greatness, and I consider all of you great because you all have stories and backgrounds that you've come from. And to be here today is a tremendous honor. I just want to let everybody know, without Jesus, I really wouldn't be here.
Oh, nice.
Amen.
Amen. All
Amen
good
to
there.
that.
Well, then, let's get right into it. First thing, obviously, I want to ask you, and I ask this of all my guests. We all know AAU basketball. Ruthie, I know you've coached briefly and things like that, but I'm sure you see it, all over, right? What's your guys' overall take, good or bad? Just an overall general overview of AAU basketball.
I'm gonna go first, and I'll let you finish. I'm just gonna be. Okay. I think obviously it's I coached for a little bit, but I'm gonna give. I would say AAU basketball is from one angle is great. It gives a lot of opportunity to play, and them opportunity to otherwise they wouldn't get. So I think it's a good thing. Mm-hmm. I think to me, when a lot of parents ask me, I think one of the things that I think they have to pay attention to is making sure a lot of these players play AAU, they want to make it, and they just play games and games and games, and all of a sudden they get lost in the shuffle because they just play games and they didn't get really good development. Mm-hmm. And so, and I've had parents who say, "Oh, we spend so much money, like I couldn't, they couldn't afford it, but they were spending every dime they got." So I just said, be careful about that, but make sure you maybe spend some of that money for individual development, depending on where they are. Mm-hmm. And so that's what cut and dry. I think it's great opportunity to play, and then just don't get so caught up in just trying to be at every tournament. You gotta make sure that the kids get some individual development so they can get better, and they don't all of a sudden wake up like, I never got better, I just played games. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of my take on it.
No, great. What do you think? What do you got, Frank?
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, feel the same way. I think it's great opportunity for kids. I know when I grew up, it was hard to get in a gym, just in general, like open gym, anything. Mm-hmm. I do feel that. But with that being said, I think the one thing we've taken away from kids, kind of like the cell phones, is we've taken away their creativity. Would like to say to create their own lane in life. Because out on a park, and I'm sure you played plenty of games in a park.
Yeah, of course.
You really had to prove and earn things. And I think now AAU, we give kids so much so fast. I think they've lost it, and their sense of entitlement is out of control.
We're going to get more to that.
With kids and parents. So I just feel like as much as it's great that they get the exposure and to do certain things and travel and things that I never did at their age, my days at the park really just taught me. Those skills I learned there, I still use today because I had to literally earn my way just to get picked to be on that court because it wasn't so many AU tournaments. It was the one court everybody wanted to be on. So you had to prove to everybody that you deserve to be on there. You start off on kind of the rec court on the side, and you work your way up to the NBA court. Right. So that's the one thing that AAU's kind of lost, and so it's a 50-50 thing for me, but being a director and part of it, I try to be different in my approach, and development's huge with me, and even mental health is huge with me. I really just delve into the mental health aspect of the athlete, because my equation is if you have a car and it has no gas in it, like a gas car, how is it going to work?
Yeah.
It can't. So if a kid comes to you and he may look great on the outside, but everything inside of him is broken, how is he going to perform and produce the way you would want him to, or his parents want him to? So, it's a double-edged sword, but I'm torn when you ask that question. There's good and bad on both sides.
Yeah, of course, and we'll dissect that little by little throughout the episode. So then, let's narrow it down a little more on that. Ruthie, this is obviously coming towards you. You know, you've played college, you played high school, you've played professionally, and you've seen the evolution of the game. Period. You know, on the women's side, in particular, is what I'm speaking to. You know, what do you see from watching that? Again, as someone like I say the term godmother of the game, like, you know, you're one of the people that help put it in the stratosphere. What's your overall look of the women's game today and things like that?
I think the women game has really evolved. I love watching it. I know this, especially this past year. You referencing just all levels, or you
all levels,
okay.
like just your overall like,
yeah.
because you played it, you've seen it, you've done it at a high level. Just kind of, you know, when you're watching it, you're like, you know, what do you think? That's all.
It takes me back and make me still want to get out there and play. Like, man, I want to D her up. So I do. I have a real, very competitive, and so, but I think it's evolved overall. I love watching the young ladies. Just even young girls. I'm like, I watch them and play. I said, man, you only in the 8th grade? I'm like, you are amazing. Like, their bodies are growing so much. So I'm thankful because I got a niece she's a great niece that's 6'3", and just, I was talking to her. I was actually in the field in Mississippi. Her mom, which is my niece, stopped by, and I said, listen here, the future is yours. I said, but you got to put in the work. Yeah. I said, they saying you good, but if you don't really make it a sense of, if you don't make it, I would say if you don't commit, because maybe her mom taking her to practice, I don't know how much she loves it. Because you get to the point you'll just be good. So I think overall the opportunities there. I think like AAU is not. It's a good opportunity to get seen, get exposed. These girls, you know, and then going on to the college and to the pro. So the game overall has evolved, and I love watching it. And like I said, my daughter, she's on 14. She's starting to like basketball, but I think it's evolved, and I'm happy to see it. And it got a ways to go, and I know we talk about the financial aspect of it, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
I know when people ask me, oh, the girls don't make what the men make. I said, they make a lot more than I made when I played. So it's moving forward a little slowly, but I think it's a season. I think people starting to say, you know what, the women's game is great. And so now when you see like these college players, we, you know, just played LSU and Iowa, these type of games. Now you got this little 8th grade or 9th, 10th grade say, you know what, I can see myself there. So that's what I like about it. That one of these little girls can say, you know, I got hope. And so giving them hope to just persevere and say one day I can be there too.
Nice. And then, well, it's funny you mentioned that because I was going to say, for your kids, have they had any interest in basketball? And like you said, your daughter might have a little bit. So if she, how would you navigate that? I know it's kind of a sidebar conversation because like what I call legacy kids, right? Because like I had Andre Stojakovic on my show not too long ago, and I told him, I said, you're what we call a legacy kid because your father obviously was in the NBA. Obviously, you being who you are, your daughter, if she decided to really go and play basketball, how would you navigate that?
You know, I really, even if she didn't play, I see her better than what she thinks she is. She's playing volleyball too, and she said, I think I'm just going to play volleyball. I said, I hope you know you got this. I said, so I would watch their games when she was in that 8th grade, early in the 8th grade. And I said, she said, oh, I didn't play good. I didn't score. I said, but you rebounded. You took some shots. And then she would play another game. I said, you improved. She didn't believe me. And finally, I said, I'm serious. I see you getting your hands on the ball. You're getting yourself in positions, play defense. So when they finally played, they actually won the championship. They beat the same team and had beaten them before they beat them in the championship.
Nice.
I said, I told you, hoping you were making progress. You didn't realize it. I said, I know a little bit of something about basketball. but seriously, I just said, I said, you need to get your feet heavy. So I coach her, but I will only take her to the gym when she wants to go. Okay. She said, Mom, I want to go work on my shot. I need to do some push-up and get stronger. So I'm letting her lead and not making her, but I will. I want to work on her body get in shape, jump rope, push-ups, sit-ups, burpees, and that's the part, 'cause that's mental toughness.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, something. But
Yeah. She's in great shape, by the way. Y'all couldn't see that. She's in
but
great
listen,
shape.
but I don't really, on a serious note, I just want her mind to be right.
Yeah.
And her to have good character and not to quit and give up.
Yeah.
I said, I wanted to be the right reason to walk away. So you're not because you're afraid, oh, I'm not good enough. I said, no, you fall flat on your face, get back up. So I'm trying to teach her that inner tenacity, just like, you know what, it's not just about whether you quit basketball or not. Like, be the best version of you. That's really my concern. How do you be the best version of you? If it's in basketball, great. If it's not, I'm okay.
And it's really cool you mentioned that because that's something he's big on is the mental component. He trains, so he speaks.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our countermount. So I'm like the AAU coach, director. He's a trainer, you know what I mean? So we speak from that aspect, but he's big on that.
And I want to add that in. I actually go next month into China. And so the China, they are so organized. You know, every time, we need to know everything we're doing. And I'm like, I said, okay, so I'm doing a Zoom in my car. I said, okay. I said, well, we're going to do this and do that and do that. So I started telling them, I said, I like to spend time when I first get there, and I just throw the ball out. I like to say, hey, why do you play the game?
Yeah.
Why do you play? And just say, you know, and try to get into their mind. They be like, oh, my God, it's amazing. Because that's so important, especially these days, to figure out in their head and spend time getting to know something about see if they'll open up with something about their home. You know, I'm just saying so you can get their mind right and just be there. So I definitely think the mental aspect is huge, especially in this season.
One question I wanted to ask you, just from, because I have a lot of my clients who listen to this show, and I always like to ask these questions when we have former athletes, is I always like to talk about a blueprint. Everybody has a different blueprint. For somebody like you who, like, I didn't know, like, from your background in high school, the small town, and you going to Auburn, and then doing what you did in WNBA, what, for somebody listening, a girl, or even a boy who really has that drive and really has this dream, because as you know, like I said, I have clients who, they're talented, but they're not obsessive. And then I got the other kids who don't sleep. Like, they're in the gym where I got to tell them, like, hey, man, you got to take a break. But I like those kids. For you, what did it take for you to become who you became?
Listen, we would need another show to go into the details. But I will give you sort of from a family of 20, 16. Listen, I was so relentless and hungry. I was quiet, though. My older sister, I didn't sleep. My twin brother took all my words. But I would get out there and climb trees and jump fences. I'm talking about I could play with the best of them. And so if I'm going to train a group of kids, I said, I want you to know my why. I want you to know what behind these gold medals. I didn't just wake up and just start playing. I'm talking, it was tough. I would compare it to my sister, who was a superstar. She was phenomenal. She played similar to Cheryl Swoop. She could shoot. She had long, wide arm span. She was really good. And so I was playing in her shadow. And so her talent was transparent. Mine was sort of a little bit hidden. My dad said, and I wanted to just say, you know what, maybe I shouldn't play. Maybe because I wasn't recruited. No colleges wanted me.
Really?
The only college was going to give me a chance at the school that she went to. And they said, well, I wouldn't play in my senior year. I wouldn't even make the travel team.
See, a lot of people
guess
don't
what?
know this story.
She flew on a private jet. And you know how I got there?
How?
On a Greyhound bus, sitting there, listen, with a bad shot and a bad Jerry curl. You go back to archives, my Jerry curl was hideous. But I'm serious. But what I had was this. I was like, I want this. And I remember over 30 years ago, my dad said, you know what? Hey, you can't worry about what people say about you. He said, you give your power away. If you walk away from this, he said, this may be the most important ride you ever take.
You're right.
I was like, okay, so I get on this bus and I go. I'm sitting there scared and just like, oh my goodness. Like, so I go and, I get to Auburn and end up starting my freshman year.
That's crazy.
The coach said he thought
I the blueprint.
He said she's
put in the fucking work.
Seriously, she said he couldn't believe they were trying to discourage me. So because they didn't think I could play there at all. They said I was totally different than my sister. And they meant that, but I came anyway. And he said, she either got faith or she crazy. Because how many more ways can we tell her that she is not going to play?
Hey, you bet on yourself, right?
Yeah. I said, I came in, I said, you know what? So if the coach said do 30 push-ups, I did 45. So I always challenge with some of the athletes, the young girls, even boys. I said, listen here, it wasn't easy for me, but look at fast forward to be able to stand on that podium to be a gold medalist and knowing I almost quit. I said, my why is that my passion. I wanted it so bad. So I always challenge them, where's your passion? Like, your skills, you get letters, you'll get recruited. You have a lot more than I had.
Yeah.
But that grit on the inside, nobody can touch that. And so,
I love it.
in a nutshell, that's sort of the
Yes.
blueprint is that, you know
Yes.
what? You know your why, you know your way.
Yep.
You lose your why, you lose your way. So
Very good.
know what that why is.
We're gonna
Thank
clip.
you.
We're gonna clip
Thank
that.
you.
We're gonna clip that.
Yeah, we need that.
Make that a reel. And we gonna get that out there real good. I
That's
like
gonna
that.
go viral.
Yeah, we're gonna do that one.
And I think in the era of social media, to just piggyback off, is you have to learn as an athlete to turn all the negativity into fuel.
Yes.
Because like the coach, growing up in a Latin family, I mean, literally like 11 daughters my grandmother had. I was the first boy in the family. Nobody played sports in the whole family. I was the first person that even thought about playing a sport.
Right.
And why did I pick the sport that Mexicans usually don't play?
Yeah.
You know, like
I was gonna say something a little racial. I was like, why not soccer? But
and so my grandfather is like, I remember him asking me, he's like, why are you playing a game? You will never make the NBA. That's what he said to me. And I said,
because you love it.
I just love it. I don't know what I did at 14. I couldn't answer now, but I said I love the game. And every time somebody told me I couldn't do something, a term I use now is I keep receipts.
Yep.
And I remember when I'm doing my workouts or I'm shooting and no one's watching, I was like, I knew then it was that all that negativity pushed me that when I got to Simpson and he tapped me and said, let your family know you're starting tomorrow, I started crying because, and he said, you're the first kid that cried when I said you're starting. And I said, Coach, you could never imagine how hard it was to have a coach believe in me.
Wow.
And for you to say that today, it's
Powerful.
It is powerful. And those are things I think that today's kids, for whatever reason, because they can't see that. And I couldn't have saw that at James Lick when I wasn't playing or scoring or doing anything. But something was instilled in me, probably through my grandmother. It's just to keep pushing every day, even though there's no guaranteed reward. I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. And so when I got there, and it was a euphoric feeling that I it's never felt that way ever again.
Wow.
Oh, well, great answers. So, well then, my next question for you, Ruthie. You know, obviously, again, I keep referring to, and you know, in my way, just trying to give you your flowers. You know, being a godmother to the game for the WNBA. We'll obviously get into your documentary a little bit too, but. What do you see now? You know, we talked on the grander scale. What do you see for the culture of Sacramento basketball? You know, women's and guys, and Frank, obviously you can speak on the boys' side as well. But, you know, obviously we spoke about the broader sense. Now, you know, just trying to narrow it down to our city. You know, what do you guys see for the culture of not even just AU, just the culture of basketball in general in Sacramento, the area, maybe some good, some bad points. Just what do you guys see?
Well, I'm going to go first real quick. The bottom line is that we need a WNBA team back here.
I agree with you.
For the girls. And I know that I see fans all the time, when are we going to get a team? When are we going to get a team?
Yeah.
I said, I don't know. But we should, because Sacramento is a great location for sports.
I agree.
Just, you know, and I just really, for the young girls, and it's so important. And
let's be real. I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm just saying, but basketball in Sac has been up this past year. Let's be real.
Yes.
Mike Brown, what he did with the Kings, amazing. The Sac State women's team, they went to the March Madness. You know what I mean? And I think they won the Big Sky. And like the men's side of it with Coach DP at Sac State. We just had Zach on the show. Like, the basketball culture is moving up, right? I totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, it's definitely moving up, and I think it's great. And from all aspects, so hey, we gotta. I think we need a big 3-on-3 tournament and something like the city. Spokane, Washington has one, so I think Sacramento. They've been doing it.
We used to do Hoop It Up. They used to, but they don't do it anymore.
We need to bring it back.
Yeah,
it's a
I agree.
good time for it. But no, I think it's great. And like I said, with Sac State doing an amazing job now, and then the Kings was phenomenal watching.
Yeah, I know, right?
So it's just so hopefully we can get a team. I hear some conversation about it, but hopefully it just it's the time is now.
Yeah, I agree. What do you got, Frank?
Okay. First, before we get into the men's side, I'm gonna say I really think we need to do a better job of celebrating the female athletes in our sports world today. I was sad when I mentioned that I connected with Ruthie recently and started asking people if they knew who she was, and basketball people were just like, I never heard of her. And for me, I was like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Because I know she doesn't, like she said, even when I met her, she didn't lead with her gold medals or the Olympics or Auburn and all that stuff. She led with her heart and her passion for Christ and helping people and using the platform to help people. But I just told her, I said, the world has devalued you for some unknown reason. Like if when LeBron retires or Curry retires, people will still remember him. They'll still be in mainstream society. So I said, we need to learn how to empower the women that are playing currently too, but especially when they're done playing, because it's like you sacrifice so much with your family and everything else. And you guys know that with what you guys do. And then you finish and then, oh, you can't do nothing for me. You can't make me money no more. So I'm not really that worried about your well-being. To me, that's just terrible. And I know she doesn't probably care that much about it, but I told her, I said, you can be good cop, I'll be bad cop. I'm going to let the world know that I'm sitting next to one of the greatest women players to ever step on a court. And the fact that she says, I want to work with you and do things with you, it's so humbling. Words don't even do it justice.
That's what's up.
To be quite honest. And so, with that being said, the men's side, like I said, I played the game, I'm sure like you did, and probably you did yourself, simply because I loved playing. At 49, I still hop on a court. And what am I playing for? There's no more scholarships. There's no more scoring games that I need to worry about. I put all the Bengay on and I get into the sauna for 20 minutes before I play. But to me, even if I'm limping after, it's just the feeling of playing basketball. And I think we've lost that because on one side of it, they're so exposed to so much of it and so many ugly things that come with it that their focus is not even on, hey, like they'll lose a game. Me, when I used to lose a game, I couldn't sleep for like a couple days, like thinking about that game. And them, they lose a game. We had a kid, and we won't bring his name up because we both know him. We just beat him, and him and his mom. I'm going through the post game talk, and then I get a tap and said, "Hey, a kid on the other team wants to play with us," and I was like, "A kid we just beat?"
Yeah. That's how it works.
And literally, his mom started giving me the spiel about why and all this fake love, as Drake would say, about why he needs to play for me. And I just said, wow. I said, if I lost to somebody, I don't care who it was.
The thought to join the team doesn't go in your mind.
I would not want to see that person for at least a couple days. So and it just let me know that we've done something wrong when kids don't value the competitive edge, because you need that competitive edge to survive in life. And when you lose that, because we've afforded them, we've empowered them and entitled them to things too fast, the purity of the game is gone. And that's the part of the game that it saddens me that kids can lose or whatever, and they know they have 3 more games and games the next day, and they play on 5 teams, and I'm just like, I actually do this, and I know it's not a popular thing. I said, hey, you could play, but if you're playing on 2, 3, 4 teams, you're probably not going to last with me.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be begging you to make a choice between me and 3 other teams every single weekend. And so
my philosophy is very simple. Mark's heard me say repeatedly on this show. I think a kid only needs 2 teams. Right. Me personally, just 2. Right. Like what we've done, collaborate and stuff. I wish more organizations would do that, but okay, if organizations don't want to talk and work together, that's fine. But I think 2 is just fine. You know what I mean? Because most likely that kid's going to have a different role on each team, gives them 2 different voices, challenges him mentally, him or her. Oh, I'm saying him a lot because I mainly coach boys, but to know 2 different systems, 2 different IQs, I think that's enough. You know what I mean? When these parents do like 5, 6, 7 different teams, it gets completely out of hand.
And I want to ask your name again?
Mark.
I want to ask Mark from a training side, because everybody and their mom is a trainer now. Like, I mean, I guess if you watch enough YouTube videos, you could throw trainer after your name. What's your feel? Because kids are jumping from trainer to trainer to trainer.
Yeah. And I say this a lot. I just had this conversation with a parent. I feel like there's I like to say player development coach. Me personally.
I like that.
Because like you said, you can go on YouTube. And I've told this to a parent. I was like, you could actually go on YouTube, Google drills, train your son, but like I said, like I played professionally overseas in Southeast Asia for 4 years. I went JUCO, busted my knee, came back. And what you were talking about, that how to teach or use life experience of having a relentless mindset, or because there are still a lot of coaches, especially in the area that I live in, who they like basketball. Of course, they love basketball, but never, and I know this is also a soft topic, but a touchy subject of like they've never played the game. And so I wear a badge of honor of knowing the things that I've been through playing the game, but I also study the game just like you do. So I'm a nerd, I'm a basketball junkie, but you can't take away what I can bring to a child who maybe, and that's why the parents look for certain trainers or certain coaches or mentors to where it goes deeper than the game now. Why, like you said about the why. And that's what like I said, I'm big on mental performance. So for me, what keeps a lot of kids to stay with me and not necessarily, which I don't really care because I don't have an ego if they work with other trainers because I collaborate with other trainers. I feel like the kids that stay loyal or with their trainers is because it's not even about the basketball. Like they can actually open up to them. They can have conversations with, they can hang out with them. That's when the trust comes. That's how you develop a player because they're willing to do anything for you. And that's what I've learned, me personally, because like I said, I'm in Dixon, Vacaville. I don't got no 6'9", 6'8". And so with the kids that I've worked with, it's been strictly mental. I got kids from Davis and Winters and Woodland. So it's like, that's all I can really bring to the table to help them. So to me, again, like I said, I think that's the biggest thing. And I feel like that's probably the same thing with an AAU organization. What keeps kids is the coach, the director, the culture. So I don't know. That's me. That's my kind of output. Is if you do it right, then the people who are supposed to be with you are going to stay with you. So,
amen.
And you said that one word. You said it. She said it. I guess you might have said it. Relentless. How do you coach a kid that's not relentless? When I'll go back to, I moved to Portland for a year. Like I said, girls it will make you do crazy things. I moved to Portland, Oregon, knew nobody. The crazy thing about it was I was on a post-college. It's hard to find leagues or anything to kind of excite you the way school did. This league was pretty all-star game. They kept stats.
Nice.
We were on our third year of a back-to-back title run. And I moved right before our championship game. So I moved to Portland. Was driving to Tacoma. It was a pretty good car. It was pretty new. And my coach said, hey, the championship game's next week, but you're moving tomorrow. And I said, I don't know. We're not going to see you, right? And I said, I don't know, coach. I got to think about that. Because I was moving by myself. Money was kind of funny. You just moved into a new city. I don't know. I'm embarrassed to say it's 12 hours from Portland to the Bay Area. I drove there for a championship game. We won. Thank God. Back to back. Had a little celebration. I slept on my friend's couch and then drove back the next day. I hadn't started work yet, so I was okay to miss a Monday. But it was just, the whole way home, I felt like Rocky. Like I was just like, but anybody else is like, you're crazy, man. Like, and for me, those were my brothers, and we had experienced something so organic, and they said, Frank, they said, we need you, man. This is you're a part of this. And I did.
You gotta be crazy.
I did. I did.
Crazy.
Good crazy.
Yes, sir. Good crazy.
Like you gotta understand, to be the basketball fanatics. We are always talking about this. The last episode with Zach. Like, Kevin Garnett said it on his show. You have to have a screw loose. You know what I mean? To do what we do. You know what I'm saying? Like, come back from 2 knee injuries and still want to play basketball. Like you said, everything you persevered through.
As a matter of fact, speaking of knee injury, we got that grit. As I I was 33 and I tore my ACL, so I was 34 trying to come back, and I was contemplating maybe I should retire. I had a gold medal, I had a world championship, so I was like, okay, I'm done pretty good. And listen, I messed around, read in the paper. I ain't gonna say what paper it was. It said, well, I hope Ruthie Bolton not planning on coming back. She too old and rusty.
Oh, damn. I know that. I know you was like,
okay.
yeah.
After you or something in me, I'm like, okay,
Yes,
all right.
sir.
I'm like, and that, listen, I worked but if I was sneaking, going to swim lessons, I was doing different things. And my trainer said, he said, you got a lot of sweat. And I told him what I was doing. He said, you can't come back overnight. You got to slow down. So I said, I'm getting back on the court. Sure enough, I did. I got back, made the All-Star team again, made the Olympic team. That just fueled me.
Right.
But how dare you get on the other side of my dream and say you can't come here?
Right.
No. So that kind of things motivate me and push me when you got it. So I think that's what, as you all with AU, with these young athletes, finding something within them, like using obviously basketball. Say if they end up not playing basketball 5 years down the road, but giving them something like to fight for, to giving them purpose. Say, you know what, this may become bigger than you, but giving your all, not having talent and going through the motions, just wasting, you know what I'm saying, like wasting time. But I think to me, it's just to find that athlete and make this an experience for them. Yeah. And you look back and say, I had a great experience. Maybe you didn't win all your games, maybe you did, but make this an experience. But teaching that or trying to share stories, y'all stories about resilience and grit. And then so that's why, to me, I felt like I owed it to the next generation to share my story. I wrote a book, The Ride of a Lifetime, talking about that bus, get on that bus, because I could have easily walked away. Yeah. And look what I would have missed out on in basketball, because it didn't look good for me. Like I said, bad shot, bad Jerry curl, just nothing. Like the coach looked at me and didn't see anything special, but my dad saw something within me. And reminded me, said, you got this. I remember getting on that bus, like, he said, you got this. And I'm thinking my dad is just encouraging me, because that's what dads do. But he said, you got this. So anyway, that's my why. That's what I do, what I do. And for you all spend time with these athletes, just continue to share your story with them and remind them so that it can be an experience for them. So
that's great. Well, then, that circle, like we've kind of pretty much touched on it, but if you want to, I wanted to speak on it. And well, if you guys, anybody jump in and let's speak on this more. I don't think kids nowadays realize how hard it is to become a college athlete at any level. You know what I mean? I don't think, and we talked about this on the last episode with Zach, but I think it's relevant to even speak about it again now. Obviously, like your story, people have heard our stories because this is episode 49 now, so we've done this quite a while. But
49.
I know. Yeah, go ahead.
But I'm just saying, like, let's be like, how hard is it to become a high level athlete? Like, you can speak on your journey.
Listen, and I think to me, the coaches and people got to be honest with them. Say, you know what? Don't pipe. It's like you got to be. I think the players, the young kids, need to watch more video. I was behind in shooting. I was behind in everything. And I didn't listen, I was out of college still when I got with the national team. They got me because my grit, my defense. So she said, you going to play, but she said, you got to start making some shots.
Well, key word, like you said, defense, at least.
I was playing, I had defense. She said, that's going to keep you in the game for a while. She said, but you got to make some shots. So I started having to make 300 shots every day after a 3-hour practice. Wow. Listen, I had to start doing that. So trying to I wanted to play. Yeah. So that's what it took. And so I became, she said, I don't know what happened to you in college, but you're going to be one of the best shooters in the country. Wow. I was like, okay. But this coach, Tara Vanderbilt, was such a great coach for me. If she had told me I could fly, I would have believed it. Because she showed me a blueprint. She showed me, she said, if you trust me, if you follow my lead, you'll get there. I remember we have a week break, we had to run 400s, 200s, 100s. I don't know why. It's like I could not cheat. Like I believe she watching me. She gonna tell I didn't do it. We had to write it down and put our time. We had to jump rope, for 5 minutes. So when I got back, I said, listen, I could not, because I feel like she was watching me. But to me, that what helped me get better. She told me the truth.
So you attribute a good amount of it to the power of having like a good coach in your corner.
A good coach that tell you flat the truth. You got to be honest, and you got to care enough about them. You got to give them some tools and just like, you know what? Slow down for a second. Let's watch. And I watched tape a lot too. At one point I was gonna make. I watched a lot of tape, and I said, no one I'm missing my shot. I'm leaning to the left. No one You know, found
Mark's big on that too with his
I
players,
love watching because you know if you
Details.
watch, if you watch for like 2 or 3 minutes and see through the eyes of the camera, it to me it kills a multitude of sin in the
Tape
game.
don't lie. Tape don't lie.
Seriously, it don't like. I'm like, I could have sworn I got back on defense. I don't know what happened. I'm like, I thought I boxed
And
around.
you see, and you're like,
I was
oh, damn.
I was nowhere near.
Yup.
So now I'm starting to correct myself as I'm watching. And I start to correct myself getting ready for that next game. And I always got better when I watch. So I think to me more that just, and I know it get to be where you're doing so much games, but I think as you know, like I said, development, and I would encourage that. And I know when I train kids on the side, I say, you know what, give me a tape, let me watch you. And let me watch, I want to watch the good, and I want to watch the bad. I want to watch the whole game, and I want to give you some, you know, just, you know, offensively, if you just spacing could help your shot.
Yes.
You know, just to correct things. So definitely, and I know it's very tedious, but to me, it's going to help these athletes know that these young kids that they can't. It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
Can I ask you then, like, especially with your journey, because I know you mentioned your dad and things like that. You know, sounds like your parents were encouraging, right? But obviously, I want to say today, parents. I think we have the opposite effect. I think parents are sometimes overly involved. Like, did your dad and your mom just let the coach do their job?
Yeah,
or
listen, my dad might have came to one game.
Okay.
And he didn't. They was back then. He didn't have time. My dad was a minister. He pastored churches. He was going a lot.
Yeah.
But he gave us some words of wisdom. But I think, Dad, I was thinking about that as y'all was speaking. How do y'all deal with the parents? Do you think the AAU? No, do you think they need to have more training on parents?
How long do we have?
Yes.
No, listen,
Like that's
if I ever get asked that, I say you can't live your dream through your kids.
right.
Yeah.
And sometimes the parents act more immature than the kids. You know, I know we want to win, but you know, you outside fighting at an event, it's ridiculous.
If you come to Hardwood sometimes and on these
They
weekends,
need to sit down somewhere.
I'm glad you said it. See, I'm glad she said
no,
it.
listen, what about whistles? I used to wear whistles around my neck. I would blow the whistle. I need to blow the whistle.
I'm glad you said it.
No,
because
it's ridiculous. Like we're teaching more. If you got out there fighting and acting fool because of games, like these kids, this is, I know now because I'm way in the future. I would play years ago, but this is bigger than basketball, and you teaching so much, and you out there arguing. So it's like, my dad. Listen, we came home, and if something happened, we said the teacher this now. He said, you know what do you do? We got in trouble if we came home and reported that if we did something. So it was harder back then. I know it's a different culture, but they need to. I don't know. I think. I don't know, AU, whatever, need to get some pamphlet for the parents to learn how they have to watch this for their kid to watch something, but they need to just be, and some of them don't know.
I know. That's the crazy part of what I deal with.
They don't know, and so just like, okay, like if you get a group, and get all the coaches together, all the parents, say, hey, let's talk about this and have a session with the parents, the do's and the don'ts, bottom line, and I think that to me, a lot of them like, oh, okay, I didn't know. And
I was going to say, excuse me, that point that we actually, for the first year, we have a player contract, which is pretty standard and for a lot of programs.
Yeah, code of conduct, right?
Yeah. But we also have a parent contract.
Nice.
That my admin, Rebeam, she designed that for me. And it lets the parents know if you want to act a fool out there and you want to just get crazy, but pretty soon you're not gonna. You won't wait for the director of the tournament. We'll tell you you're not welcome in the gym, like around the team, because we don't need our kids seeing that's how you respond when things don't go your way. So I read when she did that. I said, man, this is proactive. This is different. This is what we need, more of these things to help the coaches, you know, because we can't see everything. And to kind of go back to your last question, Chris, what you asked, Ruthie, I'm worried about today's player because I think, and you know this, and you know this too. All of us know this. When you're chasing something great or something people around you haven't done before, it's lonely.
Yes.
You find yourself, I would be at a gym, all my friends would be at parties, chasing girls, doing things, and I literally would be working and trying to get my left hand better and working on my pull-up mid-range and just doing everything I could so when that one opportunity came, I was gonna be ready. And I remember my mom asking me, I was about 17, I hadn't had a girlfriend yet, and I'm gonna say nothing against or people of that like the same sex.
The LGBT community.
Yeah, the LGBT. Yes, nothing against that. But my mom, and it was 91. She asked me. She said, "Are you gay?"
So yeah, I'm in love with Wilson.
Yeah, and I said, "No. Why would you say that?" And you've never brought a girl. You've never went on a date, and I just said, "Mom,
I love Spalding and Wilson.
Between school and basketball, and I wasn't the best student. It was like I was that relentless in what I wanted. It was my dream. It was my vision, my passion. I like to tell kids this: do not expect anyone to pay the price for your dream. Mm-hmm. And if you do, you're fools. You're foolish. That's fool's gold. Mm-hmm. And so for me, you're asking a generational of kids now that everything. Oh, I'll come over there if you bring my friend on the team. Yeah. Or we only do this together. We're a dual package. None of my friends.
Not unless your friend's 6'10". At least that's what I say. I'm like, he's 6'10", we'll talk.
We'll definitely talk. But I'm worried because kids today do everything in 2s and 3s now. And I said, when you go into that college office and you, when Coach Skinner wanted to speak to me at San Jose Christian, he didn't ask me to bring my 2 friends with me. He said, come to the office. You come tomorrow. Yeah. And at that moment of truth, he said, why? And I said, I don't want to do anything else except go to school and play basketball. And that's it. And he said, those are the kind of kids I want in my program. And I signed, so.
Very good. Well then, good stuff. I wanted to talk about your documentary.
Okay.
It's called Dream On, correct? Is it out already, or is it out?
It came out last summer.
Okay.
We were on Good Morning America, but it's a 3-part series, and they talk about.
Because I was trying to find it and check it out. I didn't know which streaming service or was on. I'll look some more or whatever. Because I wanted to see it. I saw the trailer. It looked great. So,
and it just talk about just what we did and some of the things we did. What I would say the truth behind the goal, and it's really all the things we had to go through. Mm-hmm. So much at stake. Listen, so much at stake for us, and we were told every day, and it was tough. It was Tara Vanderveer was, I was used to it because I had my military experience and my dad team, so I'm used to discipline and the hardcore stuff. But there was a lot of girls wanted to quit. A lot of girls, if you haven't seen it,
no,
you saw it?
No, I did. I saw the trailer, but I didn't get to. I was trying to see it before you came on the show.
Teresa Edwards, 5-time Olympian, her and Tara almost had fist fights.
Really?
It was crazy. Wow. She literally said, this lady's crazy.
See, and it's the behind the scenes stuff people don't see.
Yeah, and Rebecca, they was, Tara said, I don't care, because we had like the little tour. She said, I don't care, Rebecca, if I don't think she can play that game, she's not playing. I don't care what she's done. Tara she didn't care. Okay. She was like, she had this, very vague, she was just who she was. And so we went through a lot. And so to be able to come together and really change the women basketball, we had to.
You guys did. You had a great season.
And it's like, so we had to come together and play and do, and we got on the court, we played together, but it was a lot behind the scenes. But that's what it took for us, because we knew the legacy. We knew what we were doing. And
I know you guys have obviously walking your own paths, whether it be playing or coaching or whatnot at this point. But do you feel that created kind of a, what's the proper term? Hopefully, but like an unspoken sisterhood, like between you guys, and try to keep in touch every now and then. Because of course you're going to connect with others, maybe a little closer than others. But I just feel like I don't know what being a part of something like that is. You know what I mean? But I would think, or I'm just guessing and imagine, it's like an understanding you all have with each other. You know what I mean?
It is. And when we were in New York and we were sitting around, we were like, wow. It just took us back. Like we did that. I'm like, it was a lot, and it was just, man, it was a reminder. Like Teresa Edwards says, I'm getting mad all over again. But to me, the results ended well. It's like Tara did all that, and you wonder. And I'm a fan of Tara. I like, it was so hard on her when you see it. Yeah. They were saying things about her, she was saying things about them, and even Gino from Connecticut was like, he didn't agree with a lot of things she did. Mm-hmm. A lot of the players did. And so Tara and I were real close. So afterwards, I said, Tara, I was sort of getting a little bit upset seeing how they were talking about you. She said, listen, we wanted to go. She said, can't
argue the result.
I don't see nobody giving it back. I said, yeah. So anyway, so all the stuff you'll see it, but the outcome was good because the women now they're benefiting from it. We changed the trajectory of women basketball for sure, and to me,
because
I feel
you guys were definitely the
to
catalyst of making a lot of moves that, like you said,
to have been part of that. And think about it, we had to do something different because we had lost. We had lost in '94 in the World Championship to Brazil. '92 lost in the Olympics because now the world was catching up with us.
You're right.
So Tara said we got to do something different. We got to. That's why. Listen, we was in a circle around we said this is the official day of the Olympic team. We had trained together for like 3 or 4 months, and now this is the Olympic team. She named why everybody made the team. Now check this out. She said Lisa Leslie, your scoring ability, your size, Katrina McClain rebounding, Nikki McCray, your defense, Katie shooting, Dawn Staley, your leadership. And I was the last person she got to. And I'm thinking, man, what's she going to say about me? I'm like, she said, I just told the committee that I would not leave the country without Ruthie, and I can trust her in my foxhole. I'm like, she said I can trust her. I'm like, that was huge. But it's like we stood there and she said, listen, this is my team. After we're done, you ain't got to call me. You ain't got to write. I don't need nothing.
Cutthroat.
I like that.
She said, I ain't trying to be your friend.
Right.
It's my way or the highway. I don't care how many medals you got. Like, seriously.
And it's funny, just mentioning that.
Yeah.
I tell my kids the same damn thing. When I coach them, I say, your parents ain't paying me to be your friend. They're paying me to do a job.
That's
just
right.
to make you a better basketball player. I said, if we become friends along the way, great. I don't dislike you, but I don't have to like you.
That's right.
And you don't have to like me, but I can make you a better basketball player.
That's right.
So that's great.
And that's what Tara did because we had to create a sense of urgency because we just being good wasn't good enough because we had lost the last two, tournaments.
And that's crazy because knowing the history of the game, 92 was the dream team with Bird and Michael. And Magic. And so to have that kind of hovering over you guys as you lost.
I didn't play in 92. That's why we lost.
I
went to the tryout. No, listen. I went to the tryout. Listen, I played. I feel like I had a great tryout. And the coach told me, I can't think of her name. She said, you know what this means? I said, yep.
She don't matter anyway. So no.
I was the last cut. She said you should have made this team, but it was about positioning. They wanted a point guard. I wasn't. But at the end of the day, Teresa, it's like a player like me, a strappy player like I was just like, man. So anyway, but that's I think the reason they lost seriously because they didn't have a player that didn't care about her role. The team was great.
You're a glue player.
Like, listen, whatever you need me to do, coach, send me, I'll go. And so they didn't have, so the 92 they lost in 94, but it was time for a change. So when you think about it, I think Tari was right on time what she did because we didn't want to leave. She said, I'd rather say we overworked than look back and say, man, we should have worked a little bit harder. Because the world was watching and they was waiting on us to mess up.
Of course.
They was waiting on us to say, we don't need a women team in the league. No, we don't need a women team in the country, in the USA. So I'm glad Tara was that focused and that committed because she was like, hey, it's my responsibility to get us ready. And that's what she did.
That's great. That's awesome. Oh, that's a great story. I'm glad. Thank you.
So now we're giving every young girl permission to dream on.
Nice.
Dream on. Dream on.
So, Frank, I wanted to talk about from your side of it as AAU director and coach. What do you think of the social media side of basketball? Me and Mark talk about it constantly on this show, and Mark is actually kind of making a living off the media side, which is great because he has his own media company and he's great with camera work and stuff. He's done stuff for me and things like that. So I do think it's not inherently a bad thing, but like you said, it can be overly abused where kids are now more concerned with the mixtape rather than the game itself, right? So, I do think it's a balancing. So I'm just, your side of it. What do you think?
It's funny. You said with the mixtapes, these exposure events, right? Kids, I want to play in the exposure events and the media that's going to be there and Simply and all these people.
All this life.
All these people.
Over time.
You get on one of those and your whole life can take that. I understand it. But then we have to ask ourselves, is it the exposure? But what if you get exposed? Because it's one of the two is going to happen.
Yep.
And whether we want it to or not. Even programs, if you put yourself in a position, but I like to just, because now I'm kind of like what you had said earlier, and I tell parents, and if you look at my new website I launched a couple weeks ago, and in the story it says, if you're looking for a coach who's only concerned about winning and losing, I'm the wrong guy for you. And someone could say, well, coach, no, we're trying to win, right? I'm trying to help them win in life.
Yeah.
And so the saying that I say sometimes, and it goes way over their head, is you can actually lose when you win, and you can win when you lose. And
I like that.
most people don't understand that. When they're like, dude, you been drinking? What you doing? but it's because I understand things happen for a reason. It's not winning or losing. It's always winning or learn. Everything's a lesson.
Yeah.
And if we can embrace the growth, I'm huge on mental health and the development. It's emotional, spiritual, physical, and mental. Those 4 components. And if you start addressing the athletes in that manner, not everybody, we know this, not everyone's going to the NBA.
Of course not.
Not everyone's going
Not
to
everybody
college.
playing college. I mean, it's just not happening. It's okay.
I'll tell the parents, when you come from me, I'll tell you this one thing. Your kid will start taking steps to become the best version of themselves.
Yes.
Hopefully, they'll find their purpose in life earlier than I did.
Yeah.
And other people. So we're taking the appropriate measures to do that, and it's not always a popular topic because everybody's, I gotta get that medal. I gotta be on Instagram displaying this, and I'm like I said earlier with Drake, it's like a lot of that's fake love. It's fake media. It's fake. It's not real.
Clickbait.
Yeah, and so people chase that. Then they wonder why I'm in a 24-hour fitness on my free time, and I see a 19-year-old kid in there who shouldn't be in there with me because I'm 49, and he's in there talking about, I got you, coach. And I said, you should not be in the same gym I'm in right now, other than doing some leg exercises, and he's on fire. but just understanding that social media's helped me a lot, the reels and various things.
Of course.
My son, 17 years old, he even messaged me the other day and said, man, Dad, he said, your real game is fire. Like, you got my friends at school. We're now in the Bay Area, and we started here in Sacramento. He said, I got kids at school saying, you're the kid from One Vision. They don't even know his name.
Yeah.
And they just know the social media side of him. And he's like, Dad, people know about us.
Well, this free marketing era we live in is great. I mean, again, it's what inspired me to create this and have these long form conversations because, mainstream media, they got to chop stuff, edit stuff, all this. Like, I'm a firm believer that media, social media in itself has made the world so much smaller. You know what I mean? And and it's great, but it obviously, with anything, it can have a dark side or a negative side. And I just, with kids and parents trying to navigate it, it's a balancing act. So I just think having these conversations, having these things out there is good. So, they hear it from somebody, right? You know what I mean?
And I wanted to finish with this. Just yesterday, I'm scrolling through Instagram. I see some lady post a story about, it says, passport ready, next step in my journey. So I read her little story. She's playing in Costa Rica. Which is, I mean, I don't know about you, I love the ocean. So playing basketball and she, being on a hammock after your games right there in the ocean.
Not a bad place.
Not a bad place. 23 years old. So I send her a message and congratulate her. I don't even know her. I did a reel for her because we spoke for 30 minutes. She told me she started off at UCLA. She's from San Diego area. She tore her Achilles. Ended up at a JC. Now, this is the hard part, that when she said it, she kind of choked up. She said, I was on my way back to D1, but the counselor didn't give me, because I guess that she said, and I didn't know this, when you're a 4.24, you have to have a certain, it was a certain course you have to take to go back to the D1 level. So she was D1 ineligible because of something her counselor didn't do at the JC.
Hey.
Holy Names. She had to go to Holy Names. I know the school because it was from the Bay Area. So she ended up at Holy Names, graduated from there, and through all that, she's now in Costa Rica, and we talked, and we forged a new friendship, and when she gets back to San Diego, she wants to come to Google and hang out and talk, and she said, hey,
Splash for her, man. Good
no,
job.
and her name's Sammy. I'll give her a shout out. Like I told her, I said, these are the stories kids need to hear.
Inspiring.
Because they see you at Costa Rica and they think, oh man, she must have an easy life. But the social media platform allowed that, and I came at her in a very correct, in a respectful, congratulatory manner, and she said, hey Frank, I don't know you, I can see you're on a different vibe though. You just want to give people their flowers. And I said, yeah, I mean, look at you. I mean, that's a great story. So I'm a fan of social media, but like anything else, it has to be monitored and controlled, because anything that gets too out of control, it could be anything. Yes. It could overtake you, and that's never good usually. Okay.
Yeah. And then, so my last question before we move on to our other segments, and obviously we've been having great conversation. So, Frank, for you, and then Ruthie, I'll do you. Any ventures or anything you want to speak on, or anything you want to put out there, say, hey, check this out, or any of that stuff, any new ventures,
Yes, there's two. The first one, I'll make this a little quick. We're starting a girls program. I think when you have an Olympic champion next to you, and she says she wants to work with you, and I told her I want to help empower young women, and I want to try to empower her too, because I told her my job now is to make sure people know who you are. Like that's, I know you're not that concerned about it, Ruthie, but you're around me, and I'm going to make sure when people ask me about you, I'm going to let them know a little bit about your story. You could take over and you do a great job, but I'm going to help empower young ladies. I think they need their own platform, and it's not just money. It's just they need that platform to be successful. So we'll do that. And the second one is very near and dear to my heart, because like I said, San Jose, California, before 19, I went to LA one time with my father, who decided he wanted to be a dad that weekend. Took me to Disneyland. But beyond that, never really left San Jose. Didn't have the money. Single mom, just wasn't possible. I'm taking 12 kids to Ghana, Africa next June. We're working with Team Ministries International, Extreme Athletics from Ghana. It's an incredible journey. I just met the Ghana village yesterday. We were on a Zoom for 3 hours, and these kids are just so excited with the hope of something better in their future now. And that also leads me, that could be another whole subject that I don't want to take up the whole time, but that's just a kind of a nugget. But that leads me to a question that I have, because what me and Kareen Beecham, that's who I'm working with the Team Ministries International, we said we would love to have the first world AAU tournament, even if it's only 4 teams, because we have ideas of, like, I'm supposed to go to the Philippines in a couple of years, and Mexico, and a couple of different things that I got in the works already. But we said, what if we did a world AAU tournament? They have a couple teams, Ghana, and I can't remember the other town. She had said that they'll come. So she said, can we get another team to come from the U.S.? And obviously Ghana is not a place you're just like, hey, bro, you busy next week? We're heading to Ghana. But I'm going to present this challenge, Chris, and a token to you, because since I've met you, you've been nothing but gracious to me, and you didn't know me at first, it. And some of the things that you've been through in your own walk, it's easy. Could have said, like, nah, bro, I'm good. I don't know you. We just don't vibe like that at that point. Yeah. So, but I'm going to tell you right now, we're looking for one more team. And we're going to talk deeper, because this is a big...
Or you're giving me a challenge right now. Okay. I like those.
I would love for you to become as my brother on this trip and bring a team from YBA or it could be kids from Oakland. I don't care. Yeah. 12 kids. I want us to take that trip together.
I'm open to that. No doubt.
And because I tell kids this all the time, you shouldn't need a reason to be nice to somebody or open up your heart to them if they've extended their hand to you.
Right.
And you've been nothing but respectful to me. You extended your hand. You extended players. One player in particular who I love, who's dear to me, is Elijah Samdahl. I told his parents the other day, I said, man, this is unique at Sacramento. We share because he's a good player. He's good for you. He's good for me.
Absolutely.
But there's never been, like someone said, like, go, hey, what about Chris? And I said, that's my guy, man. He's cool. Like, you know, he let me borrow some Elijah, and we work together because me and Chris both realize it's for the betterment of Elijah, not the betterment of Chris or me. And that being said, I want to invite you, and we have a lot to discuss.
No doubt.
But we have till next June. I want you to accompany me to Ghana, Africa next year, and bring a
So
team.
make sure your passport not
Yeah,
expired.
I know. It is actually. Shit, I do need to go. I do need to check. It actually is.
I will go deeper. No warrant.
Yeah. No, I'm good there. I checked.
but no, Chris, I'm serious, and I know you weren't expecting this, and I was thinking about this the other day. I said, because she goes, we need another team, Frank, and I said, you know what? I know somebody just as crazy as me. And if I tell him, he won't get scared. So
hell no.
So this is I want to do, because it will lead to my next point is, as minorities, we gotta stop pushing each other down and just talking down to each other.
1000% agree.
Why can't we just lift each other up and just embrace each other? You know, you have a different style than me. Doesn't mean it's better or worse. It doesn't.
Just different.
It's just different.
That's right.
Your walk in life is different.
Yeah.
So why would you be the same as me? But your passion for what you do is no different than me. And because of that, like I said, we have to get a couple drinks or something.
Yeah.
You know,
well, if we're going to fucking Africa, I'm gonna embrace the culture out there.
But it's an experience that will change both of us, Chris. I hope you would bring your son. Because my son happens to play still, but still, he called me the other day and he said, Dad, you've shown me I can do anything I want in my life.
That's great.
And when your 17-year-old kid tells you that, like, you know things are moving in the right direction. So, Chris, thank you for everything, and that's I wanted to tell you. So we'll get into another opportunity to discuss that. But you were invited, and it's going to be a great experience for everybody.
All right. Hey man, that's I don't know. That's really
On
cool.
the spot.
No, I appreciate that. No, we will definitely talk about that. I'm definitely down to do that.
Okay.
So what about you? No, good, bro.
Yeah, for me, shoot, you know what? I'm doing a podcast with some guys and called Heart of a Champion. And really what it come from is that I love people with untold stories, and anybody's story, people, like, you don't have to be an Olympian or world champion. Everybody has a story, to be honest. Everybody walking this earth could write a book.
Yes.
But we want to help find people's stories that's going to move people to a place. I spoke somewhere a couple months ago in Vacaville, and I came off stage, and this lady just walked up to me and just hugged me. She was working at the bar. She was selling. She said, I had not planned. I was just blown away. She said, you what you said moved me. It gave me permission now to write my book. It gave me permission to, I don't know, that to me, that meant a lot to me. And so anyway, so doing this podcast, Untold Stories, that's one thing. And then this thing here, I think is more important. This next thing is that I do curriculum for schools. And out of all the things I've done, all that means nothing if I can't help the next generation. So this Aim High curriculum is a PE curriculum on steroids. So it's helping. It was some social emotional learning in it. So it's a message every day. It's a 5-week program. And so it's pretty much done, get ready to launch. And so I feel that with so much happening in this world, the shootings, crazy stuff, we need to get proactive. I usually have my whistle with full court press. Yeah. We can't sit back in the zone. We're going to sit back in the zone, wait till they miss and get the ball. No, we got to be intentional.
I like that.
In this new generation. So it's a basic movement PE with some social emotional learning. And so I have that read. I can actually get that to you too.
Yeah, please do. No, please do.
And so I feel like we got to get to, because I feel like the 3rd and 4th grade elementary kids, they need to know that someone loves them. They need to know you care. Because if we don't, all the shootings, if you look at the last 12 shootings, okay, there's some history of bullying, not feeling worthy, not making an excuse. But we need to now get into the ears of these kids, 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, that you are loved we care about you. We validate you. So when I go to these schools and I'm speaking to these kids and this girl, 30-year-old boy say, "Can you be my mom for the day?" A little girl, seriously, little girl say, "Can you give me a hug?" They are searching in the depression and suicide in school.
Yeah.
So that's really what I want this program to be, more than just about teaching basketball, but also trying to help them say, you know what, I do matter. You know, I tell them, I said, there's over 7 billion people in the world, and there's nobody in the world have your set of fingerprints. All you do, you be the best version of you. And so really, so that's sort of the thing that I really hope to take off, not just in California, but all across
Yeah,
the world.
no, that's great. I
I
mean, I think we all agree, we all share a passion for youth in this room,
Yes,
right? Because
yes.
we all, that's, basketball's the vehicle, but our
Yes.
tying, our core passion is with helping the youth. And I've said this on the show. My big reason of why I love or I'm trying to, I guess, you know, to a degree, empower the youth. Not only just the basketball, and I'm a competitor, and I just freaking love basketball, but you know, I got kids, and
That's right.
my kids are growing up in this world, and it's easy to sit back and say, "Oh, this should be different. This should be different. This should be different." It's different to be proactive and try to
Yes.
invoke that change. You know what I mean? Basketball is just the vehicle in which I do it, right? And I think what you're doing is
And
that's
that's what
incredible.
my daughter, she said, "Mom, you know how you always say to the world, you might be one person,
Yeah.
but to one person, you might be the world." And she said, she said to me, you know, you are my world, of course, but she said, I just love that you love to help. Now she's older. She said, I love to help the next generation, help other kids. And that's, to me, you know, the Walker Stars, I got my jersey retired at every level, star on the ground on L Street, star in Alabama, street named after me. None of that stuff mean nothing if I can't inspire some young 3rd, 4th grade, 5th grade, make them say, you know what, you know, I feel better about myself. Or you've given me some tools. So really, that's where my heart and soul is to really be able to move them and just to get back, and because they are our future.
You're right.
And now that I have 11-year-old and a 14-year-old, I want them to know that, you know what, this world is big, you know what, but you can look at them. I want you to look in the mirror and say, you know what, I like who I see. I embrace all my imperfections, all the things that I'm okay. It's okay to not be okay. I don't have to be perfect. I'm not trying to be like anybody. Don't try to be like me. I said, you be the best version of you. And that's really what this program trying to portray, how to be the best version of themselves through learning basic basketball stuff, but also, you know, I learned about, you know, who they are.
Yeah.
Because when you don't know who you are, when you lose hope, it's a wrap.
You're right.
It's trying to instill some type of hope and just trying to stimulate something in them. Say, you know what? Yeah, I am somebody.
No, and with that being said, I'm gonna be transparent about something. My son Elias is 17 now, and we moved here when he was a 6th grader. He really, this year, his senior year will be his first full basketball season. Due to COVID and various obstacles, he broke his wrist in his freshman year. He was struggling really bad with his mental health, and something that just resonated me. When I asked him, I when he was struggling, I said, Elias, I said, do you love yourself? And he looked at me and just started crying. And mind you, he's 17 now, so he doesn't cry on a regular basis. And he looked at me after and said, I don't want to disappoint you, Dad. And I hugged him, and we had some words, and he, thank God he's doing better. But what it taught me was, because I listened to some podcasts after this, when he was going through it, he said we have to stop asking general questions, because teenagers don't talk a lot. If you just ask them like, hey, how was school today? I was fine. So you have to ask them a question like, what did you do in school today that really excited you? Because then they're going to have to act, like, you can't just say it was okay. You have to try to get them to discuss something that meant something to them. Then they go, well, Dad, we were talking about space and how the stars, when they line up, and his eyes lit up. And I learned, like I said, even as busy as I am, I'm always going to make time to have that communication with him, because we have all the tools, right? FaceTime and WhatsApp and all these different tools. He knows. He goes, I go, I'm always going to be here, EJ. Like, no matter, I don't care where I'm at, what podcast it is, you're my why. You've been my why for 17 and a half years. that only thing that changes is the calendar, and our conversations get deeper, and you start asking for more money now.
Yeah, yeah, definitely on that one.
So
No, that's very cool, man. Well, I want to let's get to our hot takes. So, first hot take I want to talk about straight up. And obviously, we've all seen the transition for this. Let's talk about the transfer portal and the NIL situation when it comes to college basketball, right? My thoughts on the transfer portal. We were talking about it with Zach. I think it's good and bad. I think it has its pros and cons like everything else. Obviously, right now, it's kind of the wild, wild west because what I use, or the term I used last episode, it's in its infancy. It's very new. So I think colleges, coaches, players, everyone's trying to figure out how to navigate it and do it the best way. Like one thing we learned when Zach was on the show is kids can actually go in the transfer portal without telling their coach. Remember he said they could just like kind of backdoor their coach and do it. So them telling their coach is kind of like a formality. And obviously, you get people on both sides. People are like, man, I love it. The kids got the power now. They have decision-making power. Then you got coaches that feel like, well, I'm invested in you and you're betraying me. There's no loyalty, blah, blah, blah. But again, the counter argument from the player is, well, you can leave and get a new job and go anytime. So there is valid points on both sides. I just try to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So do you guys have any thoughts on that transfer portal or whatnot?
Well, real quick, my quick version. I actually, to me, as they were talking about this 3 or 4 years ago, I knew there was going to be some hiccups. There were going to be some issues. But I am glad that it's happening because the athletes need to be compensated. But I knew it was going to get out of hand a little bit. What my bad we talking about? Okay.
The transfer. No, I'm just saying, Bo. No, you're fine.
I'm going to go back to transfer. Yeah. The transfer, I just think that I was talking to a coach. I can't remember who it was, but she was saying it's crazy. I think that gives them an opportunity to go to a different school to do whatever. But I think they just needed to, now they need to just manage it. Figuring out some stipulations, but I'm happy it's there.
Okay.
But I think we just need to, they need to figure out so it don't just lose the integrity of the game, but just get crazy.
Yeah.
So I think just need to figure out what's the best way.
Yeah, and I'm glad it's there too. I'm in total agreement with you there. Did you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm glad. There's obviously some positives to it. I think the one negative that comes to mind for me is it's caused people to make a very quick decision to quit on things.
True.
And you and all of us know in this room, you're going to have to fight through some adversity in your life and some stuff that just doesn't make sense. And if you don't learn that trait, at some point, life is going to put that right in front of you and hit you with it. And if you keep, you won't be able to run forever. You can do it at this level and certain things, but like I told a parent, if they were thinking about leaving to another program and they said, you're not mad? I said, no, I said, I hope you find what you guys are looking for though, because eventually he's going to have to fix this issue. And whether you think I'm lying or wrong or being too harsh, you can't run forever. It's something my son, I told him since he was a little boy, if you join something, barring a medical emergency or something like that, you will never quit anything as long as I'm around. And I have a decision, a say-so on that because quitting is a non-negotiable for me in life. With my mom being an alcoholic and my dad not being around, quitting because life was hard at a little boy, no one gave me that option. But I'm thankful. That's why we're going to Africa.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what quitting is. It just means I need to find a different way to get past that obstacle. So,
Wow.
Mark, did you have anything? We talked about it several times, but I don't know if you...
I don't have anything on that. I know we talked about it, though.
Yeah.
To me, I think they needed a situation like that. Frank has a point that he quit so easily, but I don't know if each school look at every situation anyway, but I think that's this new generation. Yeah. They don't have the pedigree to just fight and endure and lean in. So that could become a handicap. That could become an issue. So hopefully, like I said, having a discussion about it, trying to figure out the best way that to bring a balance.
Yeah, because if you lean in anything, if you go too far one way or too far the other,
Just to bring a balance,
there's
yeah.
balance, but like you said, bring a balance because like for the episode we had previous to you guys with Zach, he was a kid that transferred from San Jose State to Sac State, and it worked out for him. He actually ended up with a really good season, a really good year, and now he's potentially trying out for pros. Yeah, he's gonna be in the NBA pre-draft workout, I think it is. So the summer league. So it worked out for him. Now, will it work out like that for every kid? Absolutely not, right? But should we take away the ability to try? I don't think we should do that either. So, well, then let's talk about NIL. We've all played college here. I'm a firm believer that I'm actually, when they started announcing finally kids can get paid, I was happy. I'm gonna be honest. Like, trust me, I wish I could have got paid in college. We know the struggle of being a broke college athlete, right?
Didn't they take Reggie Bush's Heisman away because he took
what?
They took his Heisman away.
Yeah, they took Reggie Bush Heisman away because he I think someone gave him some money or gave him a little bit.
Took some money to get a house.
Yeah, wow. And it's like, so because I've had guys on my show, who were kind of I want to say. They're kind of the founders of making this happen, like Marcellus. Marcellus Howard. He's a really big basketball personality. He's one of those YouTube basketball famous, all these kids are with TikTok and all. He was one of the founders of making that popular. You know what I mean? Now he couldn't collect money directly from the school, but he's been on YouTube since he was back in JC because he played for me at American River. So he was like one of those cornerstone guys of making basketball content, right? The funny stuff, the basketball impersonations, all that stuff. Like he was one of the first ones to do that. And now his following's ridiculous. He's more famous than some NBA players, I'll be honest with you. Like my kids know him big time. And now there's kids like Drifty J and some of those guys who have now become famous. Now, if you have a social media following or strong enough, and now you're going to college, you're gonna make money. You can make serious money. Yeah, Angel Reese being a huge example of that.
Exactly.
Do I think that's bad? No, I personally don't. To me, it's about damn time, personally. But
I mean, everyone's making money. The schools are making money. All the adults, all the people that aren't even necessarily doing the work. I mean, they're making money. Why should I heard a story and I can't remember what athlete it was. It was somebody. It might have been Kemba Walker. Somebody was telling how when they were in the March Madness tournament, they weren't always getting food because the cafeteria would be closed when their practice because the practices were so long. When it was over, the cafeteria was closed already. So you're talking about a kid trying to win a national championship for a college.
There's no food.
He doesn't even know if he has food that night. Yeah. And so, yes. There's so much money going around these collegiate games and even high school games now. Kids should be, because a lot of these kids are coming from areas. I mean, I grew up in a rough area. I was eating cereal for dinner sometimes. That's just the reality of our life at that point. Yeah. So I'm for it because the money's there and the wrong people are absorbing the money and taking that. And it's not fair to the people that actually were doing all the work and being left with nothing.
So I have a nuanced question I wanted to ask you guys about it too, because we talked about it on the episode with Zach, but it's just something I don't know if people have thought of this perspective, but I'm just curious of your guys on it. So now essentially you have thousandaire, potential millionaires walking around a college campus. To me, there's a huge risk of that kid's safety. And I don't know who does it fall upon to secure them in terms of, should it be the college's duty to do it, or should it be the player having an understanding of how they move? And this is what I mean. I don't know if you guys have ever been to USC, like their campus or whatnot, right? Beautiful campus, beautiful area. You go 3 blocks off of USC anywhere,
rough.
You're in the hood. Like, you're straight up in the hood. Like, it's, you know what I mean? It's, South Central, whatever, like, you're in the hood. So imagine you have an Angel Reese at USC. I'm a brother from the gutter in Compton. And I know you walking around with damn near $3 million, a new Mercedes, all this stuff. I might be desperate enough to say, you know what? Let me grab me and some of the homies. Let's put some backpacks on. Let's pretend we college kids. Let's find out where this girl is at. And we going to lick her. We going to get a lick. We going to rob her. If Kim Kardashian could get robbed, right, in France by some old guys, it's safe to say. So that's why I'm like, it's a good thing, the NIL deals, but now you really do have like 19, 20-year-olds walking around. Because, you know what I mean? Like, I know there's college security, but I'm going to keep it a buck with you. That rent-a-cop didn't do shit at our stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you really have millionaires walking around school now.
True.
I think that can be a dangerous. Now, again, you got to hopefully have people in their corner that are saying, hey, we know you want to go to this party, but nah, you can't do that. Like, oh, you want to do this, you can't do that. You know, but what if you don't, right? What if, because we brought up examples of like the kid in New Mexico that got set up and had to, his name was Mike Peak, right? Yeah. Mark, if I got it wrong. Yeah. Because one of his players went to that school.
New Mexico State.
He went to New Mexico State. Kid got set up, was basically ambushed, had a gun on him to protect himself, and he ended up killing somebody in self-defense.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And most likely they saw him as a target. Why? Because he got some money. You see what I'm saying?
But and it's so hard because today's generation, they post everything.
Yeah.
And they don't hide like their success. So I don't know if you can really control that, because whether you're an athlete or not, let's say you're a YouTuber, like you said, and not even playing, and you hit it big and you do well.
You definitely can't control it, but I'm just saying, like, do you think the schools should come up with some type of...
Okay, I think maybe you could put it...
Or do you put it more on the athlete? You know what I mean?
I think it's a combination, but I think because they're still not full adults, like they haven't... This is their first... Some of them, it's their first environment where they're kind of on their own a little bit. I think the school... There should be something... Because with the amount of money that's being floated around now.
I'm pretty sure that the athlete, the coach... that each team have their own security, that the school have theirs. But obviously, if you're making $3 million, it changes the narrative.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
So you might, then if you got your own, I don't know, that probably something you think
you know, it's pretty tough. Like
what do we do about it? You know,
that's just how my brain works.
Because you have to, in order to win war, you have to think like the enemy for a minute.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that, I'm just saying that's something to consider. So they might, that might be something I think the school has to sort of be about security. But when they leave, then they pretty much they might have to get their own.
Yeah, because like let's say basketball season's over, right? Angel Reese is just living life, at school, finishing her semester or whatever. But that makes you a target. You know what I mean? It's scary, but I hate to. It's
a reality.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because there are people, there's people in desperate times right now. I know there's no solution. I'm saying, I'm just saying having the conversation because I'm hoping. If anybody hears this or clips this on YouTube or something, I'm just hoping that this is something that's thought about or looked at now.
It definitely needs to be looked at because, like you said, these are, right now some unique, but this could be more commonplace soon enough as we got young creative minds coming up. And like LeBron said, it's more than just an athlete now. They're finding ways to impact with their platform, and it's bringing lucrative money because the people that are giving the money see them as helping them promote their business or whatever their name is. So they're going to keep giving these young kids who don't have a lot of business savvy and understanding of that part of communication. You're asking a young person to say, here's $3 million, go in your room and be quiet for a while. I know before the $3 million you had like $3.
Yeah. And now just go chill out.
Just
and you saying that to like a 19, 20-year-old, they're like, yeah, okay, sure. Like, you know what I mean? It's it's a nuance to it. Mark, did you want to speak on that again?
No, like I said yesterday, like if you got millions of dollars, go buy a bodyguard. Like, Bronny is going to be on USC with 2 or 3 bodyguards.
Yes.
So to me, I think that's easy. You got the money, buy yourself a good bodyguard.
Yeah.
And some of these people, they forget who they are. And I just think of John Morant. We talked a little bit.
Yeah. We're going to circle on him a little bit. Yeah. It's just, there's no quick answer, but I just, I thought was pretty interesting to talk about. Hopefully people are having these conversations. And then, I wanted to talk about the 2019 class and this weird culture of athletes and guns and violence and just all that stuff. Oh yeah, get whatever you want, bro. The whole I don't get it. You know, Mikey Williams is an example of this. Got a scholarship pulled. Allegedly, shot a gun at a party. 17 years old now. I think he's facing 5 years in prison. I don't know if he actually, murdered anybody. I hope not, but it's a tough scenario. I'm just curious if we have any thoughts about that. Like, what's with these younger and younger guys trying to, prove they're a part of this street culture, especially if you're not. Like, guys, because one thing I could say in my life, which I found, which I find interesting, is when guys are from that type of situation, when they are from the, street culture in general, right? They usually don't move that way. DeMar DeRozan, right. He's a Crip. Derrick Rose, Zach, Big Zebo, Zach Randolph, he's a GD, all that, all that stuff. They don't.
John Wall?
Yeah, John Wall. Like, they don't. When they get out that situation, they don't move that way. You know what I mean? They're actually pretty mellow, chill dudes. They not doing what Jaws out here doing, or punching allegedly. I gotta make sure for the allegedly, punching high school kids and trying to get into fist fights in the club and just I don't know. I don't know if it's a young thing. I don't know if it's a social media thing. I don't know if it's a cultural thing. I don't know. But
I would have to say I think it could very well be an
there you go. I was about to say talking to Mike.
An environment thing, and I have a kid, and like I said, I'm not going to use names today, who may have a problem stealing. And now to a regular person, you're like, okay, why are you stealing? He obviously doesn't have much, so he's been kind of brought along to think like when you don't have something, you just go grab it. And so with One Vision, that's what I'm saying. We're way more than just, hey, let's go hoop on the weekends and try to win medals. Like, I'm trying to help these young people see, to grow in life, truly grow, you have to be able to see past your circumstances. And that's not easy when you're 17 years old, right? Because we could barely see 5 feet in front of us. Now you're asking me to think with my mind and not use my initial thought of survival at certain points. But that's where we, as mentors and coaches and development coaches. I like that term better, development coaches. As those people, if you're not in that to help those kids learn the other part of life, and we'll talk, there's a kid that we work with, Chris, that you and I both work with right now. He's visiting colleges, and I had to let him know when coaches reach out to you, the proper response is not, "What's up, coach?" and to me, I told him, "Hey, I could care less. I'm not giving you a scholarship, so it's okay." But I told him when they reach out, "Hi, coach, how are you?"
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind the kid doesn't have a father, and it's just his mom who's working 12-hour days.
Yeah.
So how often is she in the house talking like this to him?
Yeah.
So, but I was real proud of the kid because the next coach that reached out, "Hey, coach, how are you? How is your program doing?"
And he's a great kid.
Yes.
I know you're talking about.
And so when he did that, I texted him, I said, "Thank you. That's a quick response to what we said. It tells me you're actually listening, and that's why I'm going to keep calling coaches for you, because you're trying to grow and get out of your circumstances and not use that as an excuse." And he didn't get mad at me when I told him. We got to be willing to do those little extra things. Otherwise, I think we're in this for the wrong reasons.
Ruthie, you got any take on just the culture?
I think
guys trying to prove they hood. I don't know, man.
To me, all these guys, I'm assuming, have agents or manager or whoever. You can't. They are failing them when they don't say something, or you need someone that's gonna be like, "Hey, you know what? I understand that you shouldn't do this."
Yeah.
And someone that you listen to, they might have 5 people. It should be that one person. If it ain't the parents or the mom tell him you don't, but they need to have their manager. If you're a manager of someone or you someone that they trust, you got to tell them the truth. And you got to just be that. You got to be in their ear, because it's you one decision away from prison, jail, or somebody dying. So I think that they just need somebody in their life that's going to be like, "Hey, you know what? That's just not the way to go." But people are afraid. Because they don't want to lose that job. They want to get that check.
Yeah, right.
But you got to, if you care about them, you got to speak the truth. So you need at least one person in your life so that can help you.
I guess like they say, it's kind of important the circle you keep, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it is.
yeah, it does. It is, and yeah, I don't know. I have a fix for it. I don't even have a pulse on it because, again, like we're older, so I guess what I just remember when guys got out. That's that was the point. Like what I mean, it wasn't to try to fight my way back in. You wanted to get out and do better for yourself. So I don't know. Hopefully those brothers do better and pray for them and
Pray for 'em, yeah, definitely.
they're young, man. Like that's the crazy part. They're young, like my producer Johan, he's a young cat. You know what I mean? And we have a lot of good conversations and stuff like that where I try to speak to him and give him advice and things like that. But I think he's doing a phenomenal job because if you look at his media work, he does great work for me. And what I say for him, because I'm like, thank God he doesn't have a quote unquote job. He has this business because I text him and call him like, hey, you available this time? You available this time? Like I don't give him enough notice. I know I don't, but he's always like ready and things like that. But it's like for me, it's great seeing him do something like this, right? And he's successful at it. And I don't see him now saying, okay, I'm making my money on this media stuff. Let me go get into a club and get into a fight. Let me pull a gun on somebody. I just can't. It just had to be steps before that happened. You know what I mean? I wish someone would grab these guys, early. You know what I'm saying?
And Johan, we do see you. So appreciate you, young man. First time meeting you. Appreciate the work you do, sir.
Yeah.
Mark, go ahead.
I want to ask you a question. Do you think there's more chaos or more crimes in football or basketball? You don't know.
I'll say this. I think there's more domestic violence crimes in football. Yeah. And I want to say there's more, if I'm going to use the proper term,
fake
tough guy bullshit in basketball crime. Right. And the funny part, this is the thing. So I used to box, right? That was my main sport before. Yeah, I was a boxer. Got my nose broken a couple times, but
Sweet pea Lou.
I was a boxer in basketball, and those are my main ones. And wrestling, I did wrestling too. And funny, one thing you learn in boxing is actually being having this body of mine is not built for fighting. That's the funny part. I laugh and say about it when these basketball players like to get in fights. Our bodies aren't really built for it. That's why some of the better fighters are short, compact guys. Like Floyd Mayweather's a great example of that. Like if you meet Floyd in real life, he's like this tall. Like he's not like, but it's actually built for combat because the one thing you learn, first thing in boxing you learn is footwork. Before you even learn hand speed, like how to move your feet, how to move at an angle. And then the second thing you learn is this is your offense and defense. Mm-hmm. So when I have longer arms, yes, I can reach you, but it takes a longer trajectory to get back to becoming my defense. When you have short arms and you're shorter and compact, it comes right back. You just boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? So that's why Mike Tyson was such a great fighter because yes, he was a heavyweight, but most people don't realize Mike Tyson's like 5'11". You know what I mean? He's I think he's barely touching 6 foot or whatever, but he was this compact, powerful, strong guy. So when I see basketball players out there trying to fight, I'm like, bro, we're really not built for this. Just chill out. Just hire some bodyguards. You're an NBA player. Just let them do the work. You know what I mean? I don't get it. We're not really. I'm just being real. We're just not built like that. You know what I mean? Now, can they learn to fight? No, because there's a couple NBA players who are legit fighters, because they're, whatever. But I don't know. I don't get this whole concept of trying to prove we're tough. But yes, that's why I say when it comes to hoopers, and I want to say it's because we're seen more, right? They see us more, our faces. I could be the 15th guy on the Sacramento Kings right now, and I'll still have a huge following just because people would know my face, right? Mm-hmm. Football players, and I only know this because my younger brother is an NFL player. He actually is he holds the record for being on the most NFL teams in football history. Yeah, his name's Joshua Johnson. Just played with the 49ers this last year.
Your brother?
That's my younger brother. Oh, you didn't know that?
I didn't know that was your brother.
Yeah.
I saw you during the playoffs this year, but I didn't know that was your brother.
Yeah, that's my younger brother. So, like, he's always been a backup quarterback. So he's very well known in Oakland, right? He's a hometown kid. We all know him. But is he known, like, let's say, in the mainstream? No. To a degree he is, but not, because he's a backup quarterback, right? Yeah. So football players have helmet syndrome. A lot of people don't know them, right? You know what I mean? They don't have the notoriety. So I think because of that, some of the stuff they do happens more in home, right? Because basketball players have all this notoriety. And let's be real, especially for younger guys, clout's a drug. You know what I mean? It's a drug like anything else to me. Clout's a drug. When you sign that NBA check and you're now a household name, let's say you're a likable name. You don't even have to be necessarily a great basketball player like a Taco Fall or Caruso. These are people that are very likable. You know what I mean? Like people just universally like them. But are they the greatest basketball players ever? No, they're solid. But, it's like now you want to go out. You want to go to these public places. But what you're not recognizing is there are other people in those places that they hate you because of what you are. They want to test you. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, I've heard all kind of crazy stuff or crazy shit. Like one of my kids who I used to coach, he's a famous rapper now. His name's DB Bout a Bag. All the kids know him or whatever. But he's had conversations with me where he tells me, like, dudes are like, oh man, I want to meet DB Bout a Bag. I can't wait to beat his ass. Like they go to his concerts ready to fight him.
Oh my goodness.
Or take his chain, or because it's about they want that clout. So
that's crazy.
I don't know, man. It's such a weird circumstance right now.
Well, we live in a society where like we can't see other people winning if we're not winning, and like I said, those things got to change because people above us, or quote unquote, people with money that control certain things in life, they love that we fight with each other so much because that's why we're never able to progress as a society or our culture because we're too busy fighting with each other. Yeah. And then the other people with the money, they're not worried about us because one or two of us might slip through and go to school at Harvard or whatever and do something. But the rest of us, we're still on the bottom ground fighting each other. And none of us have even amassed that far. But we can't because our brothers are trying to take our legs out as soon as we get somewhere. Yeah. So what can we do? And that's really, Chris, like, first of all, you inviting me here. And then me inviting you to Africa is because I want, regardless of our background, regardless of our race or anything like that, we just got to start helping each other because the more, it's like this one vision, that was specifically because one, like a fist. Yeah. I myself, I can go out there and do certain things, but I'm only one person. If we get everybody on board and then we get YBA and these other programs and we just start forming this like powerhouse. I know what you're trying to do with the shoe circuit. Yeah. Like if we can do that and stop worrying about who gets the credit, then we just got 5 kids from Sacramento, all got D1 offers. Their lives changed forever because of this circuit. Now, we should be congratulating you. Like the kid that we're talking about going, hopefully signing tomorrow. I told you, I say, I don't need to be in the front of that line when the kid signs. The kid signs, we all played a part in that. Why can't we all celebrate that together?
Yeah. Ego. I hate to say it. It's just ego.
And that's something, and that's really why I want to work with Ruthie and let people know, as a man, I don't need to be in front of her. She's done more than me in life, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. Not that she like makes me feel that way, but I'm just saying, Ruthie, it's your turn to be in front. You've earned that right. I'm gonna let you be there. I'm comfortable being 4th, 5th, or 6th. It doesn't matter to me. The fact that you have me on your team and consider me an integral part of your team, that's enough for me. I don't care what the world thinks.
Very cool. Dope. I wanted to talk about back to the WNBA. Like I said, we got like 2 or 3 more things and we're out of here, right? I wanted to talk about what I've been recently seeing, and Mark, maybe you've seen this too, but WNBA players getting cut are not enough positions. You know what I mean? That's where I say I think you have a great idea with making another team. I do think Sacramento deserves another
it's been a
winning team.
conversation. I think I know at least they could use. I know the Warriors been talking about a team.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't hurt to have a team here and a team in Oakland too.
I agree.
So
Totally
we
agree.
definitely easy short 3 teams, maybe 4, because a lot of great players this year did not make it.
They didn't make it. Yeah, they got cut.
And they got cut. So a lot of them will probably go overseas. But to me, it's just that they should just get more teams because a lot of players. And then I was surprised at some of the names that got cut. And so a lot of them was so they'll probably go overseas. But definitely, I think the WNBA. They need even a better. This year was actually with the Aces winning last year, it boosted up the rating.
Yes.
So, but I still think more visual on TV games, and so 'cause a lot of people in Sacramento don't even know there was a league still because we don't have any games here.
Right, you're right.
So, but I think 3 more teams would be great, and that those players that they won't have to cut those good players because we want to keep it sharp and strong.
Yes.
But there's enough . Players that can still make
Can I ask you, and again, I don't mean this in any type of offensive way or anything. I just want to have the question. There's always the conversations of adjusting the league to make it more marketable. I've heard things of shortening the court, lowering the rim, all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Just curious of your thoughts on it. That's all.
At one time, I thought maybe lowering the rim.
Mm-hmm.
But I disagree.
Okay.
Shots will be everywhere.
Okay.
We've been shooting so long in that, they made the ball small and we struggled because we played internationally and we came in with a ball that was heavier than we would more turnovers, the game looked sloppier.
Yeah.
They've adjusted some now, but to lower the rim will be a disaster.
Okay.
They at the 3-point line, they might. I don't know. I bet most players say keep it as is.
Right.
Definitely not lower the rim. Keep the 3-point line and say, this is what I think should add to the game.
Okay.
I think we need a shot for 4 points.
Nice. Nice.
I know they're doing some.
Like a further distance.
I think they're
like
doing
4
something
points.
that's Athletes Unlimited. They're doing some things, but I think a 4, maybe I don't know. I think it'll be a different. I think it's time. I'm like,
Well, ABA does that.
They do?
Yeah, the ABA, because I played in the ABA. That's when I first started. So,
that would be good.
If you got a steal, like in a half court, let's say you're pressing, you got to steal in a half court. This red light would come on, and the shot. If you took a 3, it was worth 4.
I like
That was crazy. Yeah, they did that. That's why if you look at final ABA scores, the scores are like super crazy. It's like 163 to like.
that player needs to be rewarded.
Right.
Rewarded for stealing the ball and going down and scoring.
Yeah.
So that's a real true Howard Curry. That's real.
Yes,
that's real.
That's an old Hardwood Curry story. Yes, when I played in the NBA. But no, because my path to getting to the overseas was, I played every semi-pro circuit there was, PBL, IBA, ABA, whatever I could, because I went to college in Chicago, so I did all that. But no, I was just curious on your outlook on that.
To me, I was bet if the players had a choice, they would go back with the regular ball than the WNBA. So
Okay.
Give a play.
And
I just think like we talked to earlier about giving them a platform to express themselves even beyond just being athletes. Like LeBron and Steph, everyone knows who those people are. Yeah. Not just because of like what they do for the NBA. Like Michael Jordan, I'm a big fan of him, but he didn't talk much. He was marketable, but he didn't talk on tough subjects, and he didn't want to.
Well, a lot of that was just. He wanted to make money. Let's just keep it real. You know what I mean? He didn't say the word. He wanted to make.
All he gonna do
money.
is breathe. If I say something, I'm charging.
Exactly.
Yeah, no. And so when people want to tear, and I'm a big LeBron fan, I just said, maybe he's not better than Michael. What? The fact that he's in the conversation, that's enough. Yeah. You're in a conversation with arguably the best player ever. They're questioning whether you're better than him. And you can go back and forth. It's opinion, how you look at things, but you're in that conversation. You're doing the right things.
Yeah. Did you have anything or any thoughts on that one, Mark?
No, I'm a Kobe guy, so.
Ooh, Black Mamba. Okay, Black Mamba is still alive.
He is definitely a Kobe. No, and that's just something I think because I enjoy women's basketball. I like I said, I have a daughter. You have your daughters. Playing hoop now and I do want to see it grow. I've had a previous episodes where I've had this same conversation, talking to college hoopers and different women. I wish I could come up with a clear cut solution to help it, but obviously there isn't one.
I think to me, when the Monarchs are here, we did a lot of community stuff.
Yeah,
and now these
you guys
girls,
did.
and we were reachable, we were accessible, and now these little girls, like, man, the dreams, I could see myself there, and I think to me that's, and I know they do it in the other cities, but not as much. We were really high ranked we did a lot of community stuff.
Yeah, I know, I remember,
and so I think to me that's what they need. One, we need a team. They need that, and then just to get the women get more TV time and definitely get more teams. I'm like, the NBA got plenty of money. I don't even know what the hold up. I don't even know, like, what's the hold up? Like, seriously, like, what's the why?
Okay.
right?
But a quick question for you: do you do any work with the WNBA today? Anything with as far as like marketing or the marketing of the game?
We have a Taj McWilliams is probably the first person in that position to understand. Before they didn't want anything hard to do with former players too much.
Okay.
It was slow, but Taj McWilliams, now we do a lot more because she's a little bit younger than me, but she and I same era. So they're trying to make some changes. I do feel it now. I do feel it that they're not just hugging her, they're getting us really squeezed. So they're trying their best to include. Because Teresa Weatherspoon. Yeah. Everybody remember that half court shot she made.
Yeah.
And she coaches with the New Orleans team.
The Pelicans?
Yes.
Pelicans.
Right. She's like a player development player.
Yeah.
But her energy, like, players still love her. The fans want to know, what is she doing? They would love to see her. So we've talked about ways we can come back and bring the players in, but we're closer to it with Taj. Before, they don't want to hear it.
And you see that the NBA, like, they do that with their old players.
A lot. They do a lot more with the old players.
So that's why, even like people like me that know older players, you still see these people with the All-Star weekend. They celebrate these guys. And that's where we're, like I said, the women's game, they're not doing that for you guys. They're not doing enough. So that's why kids today, when I say, oh, your name, they're just like, who's that? It's because they're not celebrating you the way men do.
So this new generation, when I retired, some of these players were like 4 years old. I'm like, I've been retired now like 16 years.
Yeah.
And so it definitely need more. So like I said, we push, and actually some of the players like Teresa Airwood, some of the players like, I don't care. But if we, like the soccer team that fought for the rights, and I'm willing to do it, but a lot of players say, forget it. I ain't got time, I ain't got the energy. But you got to have.
They just living life now.
They just living life. They're like, we good deuces. But it's not so much. It's just the principle. Something my dad would say: if you take in life with you some principles, you want to carry a suitcase full of rules. Nice. So there's a time to fight, and there's a time to walk away. Yeah. And there's time to be. I'm saying not fight, but there's a time.
No, advocate for yourself.
Advocate. I'm like, it's okay to have a voice. Okay to advocate because you're advocating for the next generation. So, but yeah, I think we definitely, like I said, need more teams.
I don't have, like I said, I don't have a solution. But one thing I try to help, because Ted, Coach Ted, he helped me when we at the camp too with Carté and whatnot. But I'm sure you would know Ted if you saw him. Yeah, I'm sure. So he's a women's coach, and he's at college right now, and he has he's been on the women's side for a very long time. He was a women's coach at Jessup. He's done West Coast Elite. He was AAU coaching here. He's done a lot, and so we have a lot of these conversations because one thing that this is kind of just a weird epidemic of girls just quit sometimes. They just wake up one day and just quit. Sure is. And I don't, it's like because we have a women's side in YBA, and I'm always, I don't coach it directly, but I train some of the girls I talk. I always try to keep them encouraged, especially if they're discouraged. I say, hey, no, don't quit. Like, I just don't know why,
quitting, a lot of time, okay, so a lot of girls are quitting from basketball to volleyball. In the last 3-4 years, a lot of players from basketball to volleyball, the players get burned out. They don't have, now without a team here, they have no dream. They don't have a landing zone for their dreams. Right. Their dreams is just like, oh, okay, just floating there. But like, is there a place that I can go? And so a lot of them just losing hope. And I think a lot of you sort of got to talk about it. One of the reasons I would say don't quit, I say, you know what? You may play, you may not. It's about don't be so quick to just quit. Like, why are you quitting? Or you not feeling, so I feel like with a team, you got to make it an experience. You might be 0-12. I know I've had coaches, parents say, or coaches, what do we do if we 1-15? How do you motivate? I say, you got to create small goals. You got to say, you know what? Don't worry about the school board, right? Don't worry about that. I'm going to focus on, you got to get them to just say, find something individually that they're doing it to win. I want you to get, if you get 3 rebounds, you get 2 steals, you get something, because the school board may not show it yet, but so they feel like, if we suck, and why should we even, they don't want to play anymore.
Right.
They don't feel like, so a lot of them going to softball too, a different other sport than basketball.
Yeah.
And that's a societal issue, and I think you brought up good coaching, because as a coach, we need to celebrate the 12th player as much as we do the first player, because you've all heard this before. We're only as good as our 12th player.
Yeah.
If
you're as strong as your weakest link.
Yes.
There you go. There's an analogy.
With that being said, everybody wants to celebrate the Andre Stojakovic. We want to do that, and I have a kid on his team that played for me, Owen Ubaldo, who most people would. I asked 3 coaches if they knew who he was. Nobody knew his name. He just committed to West Valley the other day. I helped facilitate that, but he played for me, and he played with such a fire and a chip on his shoulder. And when he committed, West Valley, Coach Yoshikawa, they're so happy to have him. And when I told him, when I asked Coach Matt, who you had on the show recently, I asked him, I said, Owen Ubaldo. Never heard of him. I said, West Valley Junior College. One of the best ones in the state. He just committed there.
Nice.
And he said, how? I said, because I saw something that most people didn't, but the main thing I saw was he wasn't playing in the shadow of a kid like that. Andre,
yeah, it's tough.
It's tough because
tough.
You do get exposure because he's going to bring certain talented teams to their schedule.
But just the last name alone is going to
it's like
get some peak.
Your dad didn't play in the NBA like his dad did.
Yeah.
So I told him when we were going through the recruiting process and he was getting frustrated, I said, it's just a matter of a time, and we'll need one coach to believe in you. Mm-hmm. And that kid, man, he was in Cabo this weekend celebrating his graduation.
Nice.
And he called me the other day, and he just said, Coach, I just want to tell you, thank you for believing in me.
That's what it's about, man.
And it's not, every kid's not going to be Andre. So we all don't get that opportunity.
Yeah.
But helping a kid believe in themselves, whether they go to college or not, that could be a life-changing moment for them. And what you do with personal development, anything we do, because not all these kids have this at home. Yeah. I mean, he grew up in El Dorado Hills. He drove a Tesla to practice. So he wasn't like he was hurting on that front, but he lost his identity when he didn't think. He goes, is it over, Coach? And I said, it's not over until your eligibility's over. So we're not even close to that point yet. Mm-hmm. And so when he said, Coach, he's like, we got to go celebrate. And I said, people were taking pictures. And he goes, come here. And I said, no, you take the picture. This is your moment now. But he goes, you help me. This is your moment, Owen. You step in that light now, because you did all the work for 18 years. And I came along the last 2 years. It doesn't give me the right to try to share your light. I was already a player, and I was chasing the light at that point. Now I'm trying to lead people to that light. When they get there, I don't need to step there with them. It's their moment.
Very cool. I just have 2 more things to ask you guys, and then we're out of here. Obviously, This has been a very good show and a good thank you for hanging in there with me. I know we all got things to do in life to get back to. I want to get to respectfully disrespectful for you guys who've been watching, this segment. The first thing I want to ask you guys about, and this is mainly speaking to Sacramento culture, Sacramento AAU culture between trainers, coaches, clubs. Seems to be a lot of hate in terms of somebody's always hating on each other, speaking bad on each other, or, and again, I say it's all subjective. One person could look at a kid and think he or she sucks, and another person could look at that same kid and think he or she has something to offer. That's okay. I'm not saying people aren't allowed opinions. You absolutely are. But I think when you're actively speaking bad about another person to try to make yourself look better, and we know that I always try to keep it a buck on this show. That's why I call it About That Life. We know the biggest motivation why people do that is money, right? If I can take 5 kids from him and lace it in my pockets, and now he's 5 kids broke, right? You know, like that's the mentality some of these people have. I work a normal job, so I don't, everybody know I work UPS. So I'm out here grinding in a warehouse most nights. So
at 3 a.m. on Instagram Live, at 3 a.m.
right. So it's like, but then again, like my boy Mark here, his livelihood is in his company. He's invested in himself big time, his training, his media company. So I know how much he takes it to heart and seriously. So it does bother me if people are hating on him or something like that. I haven't personally experienced that, but if he's told me stories, it's like, I don't think that's a good thing. I just, I guess I'm just overall curious of what you guys think about that, of this culture of basketball and in Sacramento and that atmosphere. And then honestly, if there is any type of solutions that could possibly happen.
Let's go
A comment real quick. It's unfortunate. I think a person that, everybody working hard, and for you to, and you got people that do that insecure, and then you got a lot of kids that played for or been around people like that, and even they 11, 12 years old can see that in the adults or the coach. So it's just, to me, it's sad, and it's it's a character flaw. It's an insecurity. And so, to me, I think that solution is somebody else that just say, watch me work.
Right.
In the game, somebody, you had that with a team you playing, you got to, that's been animosity from, I think you just do your thing. If you're mature enough and just like, hey, you know what, they do what they do, but I'm doing what I do. And I know that's sort of a straightforward, but to me, that's a simple way. Yep. And that's just how I manage stuff like that. I can't control what people think about me. Can't. But I control what I do. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, what you think about me don't go on my record. Nothing you think and say don't have to hinder me if I allow it to. So say what you want. I'm going to use it as a tool to just elevate myself. There's a story about this mule was throwing dirt. They threw this mule in the hole and was throwing dirt on this mule. This mule was minding his own business in Mississippi. Yeah. And all of a sudden, the guy was laying throwing dirt, and all of a sudden, they walked away laughing. And all of a sudden, they looked back and saw the mule was out the hole. Like, how did that happen? This mule was using the same dirt they were throwing on him to elevate. They were stepping on it and putting it on their feet, and it was raising them up. Nice. So I think you just take negative things and just like, hey, you know what? I'm not gonna let it rock my boat. I'm gonna keep my power. I'm just gonna don't even entertain it. Just like, hey, I'm doing what I do, and just like a little spoiled kid on the ground kicking around, just ignore it.
Well, and it's just being true to yourself, right?
Yeah,
like just being consistent. I'm a big firm believer if you're consistent, regardless of what people think or say, people have to respect it. You know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
true.
And obviously if they're crossing that line of disrespect, that's a whole nother subject. But I'm just saying, like, if you're consistent in who you are and what you do, right, wrong, or indifferent, people will respect where you're coming from. You know what I mean? Did you have any insight on this one?
I actually do. As my program's growing substantially in the last 6 months, I almost shut down last year because the mental health issues of my son being a priority in my life, and my grandmother, my hero, passing away in August. I had people working with me last year in the program, and I didn't realize they were destroying the program from the inside out. But I was so consumed with some of the personal issues in my life that I couldn't see these things. And I'm the bad side of is I always want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Like, of course. Like I'm still blaming. They made a mistake, and I'm blaming myself for the mistake. Right. And as I was going through this, I was learning about certain things, and that one thing I realized: sometimes in life, you do have to put your foot down and say, the disrespect has to stop now. Because once you've crossed that line, I can forgive you as a Christian, but I can't forget the way you're moving. And thank God I was able to get past those rough times. My son's doing better, which is a blessing. But the people have now, being, like I said, my co-director, a woman, she has gave me so many inspirational conversations. She's helped me when I was kind of steering off path. And I could sit here now and say, the problem I saw here in Sacramento is it's hard to trust people.
Yes.
Like literally, like you could literally say, here, guy, here, anybody, here's $100. Hopefully this will help you pay your bills and move, pay your gas or whatever. And they'll say, why did you give that to me? And just get crazy with your, I just gave you $100. Why are you mad at me? But this is what I hoped with the offer of Africa, Chris, and the stuff that we've already done already, is I want to change that narrative. I'm from the Bay, working at Google and growing up in Silicon Valley. People of power have great support systems.
Yes.
And that's how they're able to elevate themselves, because the support system's so great. And I tried to do that, and people were just like, nah, bro, you ain't from here. We ain't feeling you. And I'm going to be honest, just as a player too, the color of my skin always made people question how I got to certain places. And I said, you know what? Your insecurities, I pray for you, because you know nothing about my past, yet you want to judge what you see on the exterior of my body. So as a society, can we just stop hating on each other? Yep. And can we just, like, even as someone said, well, Chris is your competitor. I said, no, he's my brother. Yep. And he's doing the same thing I'm doing. Yes, and there's so many kids, and I'll just finish with this. The table is so big, all of us can sit down and eat at it. I know that's right. But why you got people that are saying they're moving seats and saying there's no more seats, buddy? Because I took 8 of them and I'm eating all this food here. And the problem is, most people I've found here are they've never mastered the game of checkers, and I've already moved on to my second chessboard. And as you move there, you realize your greatest competitor in life is you.
Yeah.
And understanding doing for others without expecting anything in return, that's a game changer, a mindset changer, I say, a separator. Yes. And that's why I said today, when someone say, why would you let Chris come with you and steal your moment? I said, steal my moment.
No, that's gonna work, but okay, no.
But that's the simple mindset. And I said, you know what? You know how many people live in Africa, and how many people need help? I can't do it alone. So I bring my brother, and this is only the beginning, because trust me, I'm the crazy guy that has like a lot of ideas that most people don't want to discuss.
That's good.
Just like Steve Jobs said, you have to think different. If you think the same, we would all work 9 to 5, be bored, and live in a box that the government wants us to live in. And I say, you know what? I'm done living in a box. How about we try living in some open space with nothing in sight except opportunity and things to be written still and changing history. How about that? How about that life?
Amen.
Amen.
Do you guys have any, well, this will be my last question before we do our shout outs and get out of here, but do you think, do you guys think or have any idea what could be done to help maybe bridge some of these gaps? I mean, for me personally, this show is one way I try.
I agree.
This show is one way I try, because he knows I say it every episode. I'm like, hey, if you don't, I literally put a challenge out there for people like, hey, if you don't agree with the things I'm saying, if you don't like YBA, if you think, you know, I'm just some conceited light-skinned asshole, like sit down on the couch and or just sit on the couch and let's talk about it. You know what I mean? Like, just let's have a conversation about it, because I guarantee if you most likely talk to me, you'll come away like, okay, I can respect where this dude's coming from, and I can respect where you're coming from. I really try to challenge myself to not live in an echo chamber. So because I don't need people to just tell me I'm right all the time. I need people to hold me accountable. My friends do. My close friends do. But I try to do things to bridge these gaps. This show, working with Mark, our friendship, working with other coaches, other trainers. Like even right now, I'm working with Ryan from Touch Shooting. Right. Because I have my teams on the Adidas shoe circuit, so I put his freshmen on that platform along with me, and his team is called Team Touch. So it's like I literally put, basically for all better intents and purposes, a competitor on the platform that's meant for me. You know what I mean? Just because, and his head coach came from YBA came from me. I introduced Sam to Ryan, and they hit it off, and I'm proud of them. Their team's doing well. They're about to go to South Carolina and play in this tough event with me. I'm taking my 17 guys to South Carolina, like Mike and Elijah and all those guys. So I try my best, to work with everybody, but I know a lot of people have their own angles, or like you said, they have a misconception and thinking, oh, Chris just wants to take this or do. I don't try to take or do anything. I just want to help, and I do recognize I am a lot, and a little bit of luck, a little bit of business savvy, a little bit strategic things put me in a position of where I'm in today. Like you guys are here in this facility. Like, we're lucky enough to be an AU club with a facility. We have 70 teams in our club. 700 kids, 700 plus kids. When you guys came here earlier, you saw all the things going on here. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard, but it's a good challenge that I've embraced, but I try to use everything I can in my resources without stretching myself too thin to help the community and basketball community in Sacramento. So I don't know. It's just a long-winded way of saying I'm trying my best.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it takes everybody, and definitely platforms like this and spaces like this to talk about it and have conversations. And like I said, life is too precious to just go around have animosity, pointing the finger, trying to hurt people. I said we all, So I just say keep having the conversation, your honesty and transparency, and allowing people to say, hey, if you have a problem, let's talk about it. That'll say, I know everything, don't talk to me, talk to the hand.
Yeah.
But creating a space where people can talk, I think that's a great start.
Thank you.
Definitely.
And I'm going to say something that a lot of people don't like admit mistakes or missteps in life, because why? We all want to pretend we're living these perfect lives, right? Instagram is a great microcosm of the perception of perfection. I'll tell you, we played Chris last year, and I was fairly new to start playing in bigger tournaments and more opportunities. And Chris, man, he gave it to us. and I had to sit there and just take that. And I remember looking over, and they were kind of laughing, and they were looking at me. When I coach, I'm crazy. Like, Chris,
You're passionate.
I'm passionate. And I'm still coaching my guys. We're down 30-something or whatever, and I'm still, and my kids like, Coach, look at the score. And I said,
who cares?
I said, if you don't want to, if you think the score told you the game's over, and we had like 10 minutes left, take my jersey off and go in the stands, because I'm building something. And for you to say, and so what I was gonna say is, that day I was upset with Chris. I was thinking like I don't like this guy, man. He just I got to this big stage finally, and then he's just gonna whoop me like that. But the thing was, and all these people were telling me things about Chris and YBA, and they still players and all this stuff. And I sat back and I said, you know what? Elijah, that issue came up, and his parents, and we finally had a conversation. And I said, you know what? Like you said, nothing like I thought. Not the perceived thought of who I thought he was and what I was told. Not even close. And so I can sit here and say, you know what? Keep doing what you're doing, because you know this. If we're doing something right, of course people are going to be talking.
Yeah.
Because they're jealous that they're not in that position. And so I just applaud you for this platform is special.
Thanks, man.
49 going on probably a 99 soon. And you guys, what you do, you give up your free time. This is not $1 million enterprise at the moment. It could be the way you guys are moving.
If it happens, great, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't do this for the money, trust me.
But that's what I'm saying. I because I'm crazy and I'm up at the gym at 3:30 in the morning. I see you post that you're at your job and just and I said, you know what? There's just a dude who loves helping people. Mm-hmm. And if you can't see that, I just want to pray for you, because whatever's ailing you to be so angry at him or you or anybody else, it just, that's where usually the root of the problem starts within, And if you want to change Sacramento and you want to change the perception of everything, we have to work on ourselves. And self-reflection and self-change, well, it's not as easy as changing your underwear every day.
Right, you're right.
You know, it's just so that comes with a different kind of set of rules. But like I said, I want to commend both of you for what you've created already and continue to do. And thank you for the opportunity because you've given me some ideas. But just I'm proud of both of you.
Thank you.
For this space.
Appreciate it.
And thank you for having me here today.
Oh, absolutely. Mark, did you have anything to chime in on
like I
that
said,
one?
man, just the power of collaboration. So it takes a village. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah, no, I mean it's just like I just want to see ultimately everyone thrive, and just be good members of society. My biggest motivation is my kids. I think that's everyone's motivation at the end of the day. I want my children to grow up in a society. No, it's not going to be perfect, but fair. Keep them safe. Like I tell them. I feel very proud of the fact that I can bring my kids in here and, they go, Dad, what do you do? It's like, hey, this is what I do for a living. And on top of working my 9 to 5 and hopefully you want to be a part of it one day. Cause my oldest son is 9 and he wants to play basketball. He keeps telling me, I'm gonna be better than you, Dad, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, whatever. And, but he's actually freakishly tall for his age. Like if y'all saw my boy, he's really tall, but he sucks. He sucks right now, and I tell him that I'm like, oh, you're trash right now, bro. We got some work ahead of us. But he loves to rebound, so that's one good thing. He loves to rebound, but he won't shoot the ball. Like he'll be right in the basket, won't shoot. But I told him, I said, I'm not going to coach you. I don't ever want to coach you, really. I want to train you.
Yeah.
I'm going to train you. I'm going to teach you the game. We already talked about it. He said he's going to spend all summer here with me, putting in work. I said, you can go in Dad's office, you can take a nap, and we'll get right back to it. And,
Here we go.
So we'll see how it goes. This is his journey, and obviously I'm excited as a dad, but everything I do is thinking in terms of when they're in high school and they're older, and just things like that. I wanna create an environment that they can thrive in. You know what I'm saying? So that's where it all comes from with me.
Awesome.
Any closing comments, thoughts, anything like that before we get out of here?
I do want to give two shout outs to things that I got going on. We are starting a girls program. We're well underway. We have some great things in store for the women. Like I said, the empowerment and the platform is huge. This lady right here is going to help me, and we already talked about a couple things, but I have some great ideas of how we can do that. I'll probably be talking to you some more about some other things. Always, brother. And how we can operate in that same space. And the second thing is we're going to have our first One Vision tournament the first weekend of August. Do a little different. Maybe not as big the first one, but we're going to do DJ. I think we have a bounce house. A taco truck.
Nice.
So we're gonna make it as the end of the summer AU style, right?
Very cool.
We're doing. I want this to be a family atmosphere.
You doing it out there, out in Sacramento?
Yeah, Sacramento.
Okay.
And we'll definitely talk about some because I want some YBA teams out there. And
yeah.
Like
I'll support big time.
And with all that being said, I want to invite everybody that's from the area, and like I said, I'm gonna extend my hand, and I'm just that way. I'm gonna keep extending. Hopefully, we can get more brothers and sisters to join us on this mission of changing the culture here. But if not, it's not gonna change me because this is kind of a mission from God that He put on me now. I mean, you don't plan Africa if you want to just do everything by yourself and be like, oh, I'm this great. I'm just a simple person who had a dream, quote unquote, like Martin Luther King, and I'm getting now the opportunity to act on that. And like I said, I'm gonna keep inviting kids and people like you who are helping kids, because at the end of the day, if we're doing positive things for them, that means we're doing the right thing.
Yes, sir.
Anything for you, Ruthie?
Well, you said something about dream, which is a great segue into saying thank you for creating this space for the years you've done it. Knowledge is power, and being bold enough to speak up and say things and share and have dialogue about certain things. And I'm just thankful that my shout outs to all the youth out there, just reminding you to not just dream, but to dream big. If you want it, you can do it. Dream big. Pour your heart into it.
Nice.
If it were dreaming about, you might as well. If it were dreaming about, you might as well. Dream big. Dream big.
Amen.
There you go. I got some applause, Ray.
That's the first on the show.
I know. I like that.
That's the first.
Hey,
I like that.
let's go.
No, hold on. Let me get my outro music.
Great show.
Yo, thank you. Yeah, and if you stayed and you watched it, you're a real one. I know a lot of people listen to it in segments. Thank you, Johan. Shout out to you as always,
Sir,
brother. So if you're listening again, do that HBO special. Help a brother out. Subscribe, share, listen. I can't thank you two enough for being on the show. Really, I really, really, really do appreciate both you guys. Shout out to Carte. I know I have to shout her out. She's been a great person in my life. Also, when Ruthie gets her podcast out, please check that out, right? Again, it's Heart of Champions, correct? Heart of Champions. Please go ahead and check that out and support her. Shout out to all my AAU kids. Kai, I just saw Kai at Hardwood again, so shout out to Kai. Good seeing you, Knucklehead. Zach, again, Zach
Drew
Spell.
League debuted today. Drew League. He played Zach. He
did play in the Drew League today. Yeah, Zach just played in the Drew League. That was the kid we had from Sac State. So, hope it went well for you, man. Hope you're learning a lot. Next episode, I should be having Ryan from Touch Shooting. So that should be a huge episode because we are both brothers in a similar atmosphere. We both have our own facilities and working in this basketball culture and working together. It's it's a grind. So, I think having that episode with Ryan is about to be amazing. Please stay tuned for future episodes and things like that. Again, do the HBO special. Ruthie, Frank, really appreciate you guys being here. And we are out.
Flex out. We're flexing out, baby. Flex out.